Chapter 1226, Thunder God's Finger. The Flower Knight did not leave his seat. She sat opposite Levi and looked at him with a smile without saying a word. Levi coughed and asked with a smile, "Elena, is there anything else?" He still had to hurry up and refine the medicine in seclusion. Every minute and second was extremely precious. "Take a guess." The Flower Knight smiled sweetly and looked at Levi. "I'm guessing that you've successfully obtained a Morning Star level oddity." Levi asked. "How did you know?" "I'm only a 6th circle wizard, but the Letny family has a 7th circle wizard leading them, and they're in a home ground like the Thunderpool secret realm," said the Flower Knight with a smile. "Because you're my guild member. I trust you." Although Levi said that, he was shocked. In reality, after learning about the situation in the Thunderpool secret realm, he had already given up on the Morning Star level oddity. The corners of 100 Flowers' mouth curled up as she extended her jade-white palm. In the middle of her palm was a purple finger. On that finger, complicated truth runes seemed to form a fingerprint. Threads of thunder power spread out and emitted a dangerous aura. "A broken finger? Is this the truth oddity nurtured in the Thunderpool secret realm?" asked Levi. "That's right. For this broken finger, the 7th circle wizard of the Letny family spent a lot of effort to defeat the Thunder Elemental Lord. However, before that, with the help of Sorit, I lured another Thunder Elemental Lord over and stole this broken finger during the chaos. Now, the Letny family is looking for me all over the world on the 7th floor. Are you safe now?" Levi asked worriedly. "Thank you for your concern. I am very safe. However, in order to obtain this oddity, I used my trump card. Commander, I suggest you stay in the ancient tower and think about how to compensate me for my losses," 100 Flowers Blossoms joked. "Definitely." Levi looked at the oddity and quickly promised. 100 Flowers waved her hand and laughed, "I'm just joking. Don't take it seriously. The key to the ancient tower is enough. After all, I've obtained more treasures here." "He he he. Elena, you're very knowledgeable. Do you know what this is?" "There's no information about this oddity in my illustrated book," asked Levi. 100 Flowers shook her head and smiled as she said, "I don't know either, but I've seen something similar to this at a primordial soul wizards gathering. It's a purple thunderbolt eyeball. They call it the Thunder God's Eye. I think this should be the Thunder God's Finger. As for the specific function, you will know after you refine it." "Thank you so much." "You're welcome. I'll take my leave first. I've arranged for Sorit to be in a safe place. Moreover, he has also obtained his own opportunity in the Thunderpool secret realm. His future is promising. I still have to continue exploring the 7th floor. Also, the Amethyst race's level 8 expert has already entered the 8th level. Just as I predicted, he is attempting to enter the 9th level. Sigh, there's nothing we can do. The Amethyst race is too powerful. This isn't something we can worry about," Levi sighed. "You're on the 5th floor now, right?" "Yeah. Be careful. You too." After the video conference ended, Levi suddenly remembered that Deep Blue organization was on the west coast. "I'll go and secretly visit Anya first, then come back and cultivate in seclusion." He disguised himself as a nomadic wizard from the Ocean School of Thought and headed north. With the true mask, as long as he didn't make a move, Anya wouldn't be able to recognize him. Deep Blue organization was also on the west coast, but it was in the middle of the continent. Relying on the Scarlet Dark Dimension, Levi arrived at the organization's headquarters a week later. Here, the 6 towers of the Star Sea built a magnificent wizard city. Deep Blue City. It was named in memory of the Deep Blue Sage. Deep Blue City was divided into 6 regions, which represented the 6 towers. Through his danger perception, Levi sensed that there should be dozens of 5th circle auras guarding the place, and there was no lack of existences with perfected 5th circle. Many nomadic wizards came and went in the city. Most of them had average strength and did not dare to take risks alone. They could only accept employment from large organizations to earn money. In the witch district, which was almost full of witches, he saw the team from the witches family. Under the envious gazes of the crowd, the Snow Lotus Witch triumphed. Her 5th circle aura was like a crane among chickens. As the descendant of the 2 primordial souls, she had so many resources. In addition to being a water element child and a special water-type talent, it was a certainty for her to advance to the 5th circle realm. Previously, it was just to limit the limit of her spiritual force. On the other side, the team led by the Phantom Witch who had reached perfection in the fourth circle realm and was about to go out for a mission. Anya was among them, still wearing that stoic handsome face that kept strangers at bay. It had been a long time since they last met. Anya was indeed different from before. With his current spiritual force, Levi estimated that Anya would be able to reach perfection in the fourth circle realm in another 10 to 20 years and would try to advance to the fifth circle realm. Levi watched as Anya's back disappeared from his sight and Levi sighed in his heart. Why do I feel like an old father from the countryside who secretly went to a school in a big city to visit his son? Get out of the way, where did this male wizard come from? This is not a place you can come to. Are you using the photographic slate to record us again? A fourth circle senior witch came to Levi with her hands in front of her chest, looking aggressive. Her name was Nola, and her mother was a fifth circle leader of the witches' family. She had also participated in this ancient tower trip. Nola looked at the middle-aged male wizard in front of her. He looked old and ordinary. His every move revealed the poor, self-abased, and cautious temperament of a nomadic wizard. There was also a hint of envy in his eyes. He must have longed to see a genius witch like her from the witches' family. Chapter 1227, Mind Flayers Leveling Up. He must think that he's powerful enough to show off in front of us just because he has a fourth circle senior cultivation base. During this period of time, haven't there been a few male wizards coming to the witches' district to seek trouble? The other witch said calmly. Her name was Winnie, a perfected fourth circle wizard of the water element. She was the team leader of the wizard team, and Nola was her team member. Levi smiled awkwardly. He spread out his hands and said helplessly, I don't have any records. I've admired the heroic talents of the geniuses of large organizations for a long time. I came here to take a look. You've misunderstood. I'll leave immediately. Snow Lotus Witch came over and said coldly, You two, don't talk nonsense. Go and carry out the mission. The two witches immediately kept quiet and muttered, Okay. It's just that recently, there have been some self-righteous wizards harassing us in the witches' district. They don't even look at their own cultivation. Yet, my sweetheart is the fire dragon destroyer, hee. Snow Lotus Witch's eyes turned cold as she said, He's just passing by to take a look. How is he harassing you? Besides, with your cultivation, would the fire dragon destroyer take fancy to you? In the ancient tower, he is our competitor. When we meet, we will fight to the death. You should correct your attitude. I know, I was just joking. Snow Lotus, don't take it seriously. The two witches were angry, but they did not dare to show it. They glared at Levi and left with icy expressions. Snow Lotus Witch was a big shot in Deep Blue organization, and they could not afford to offend her. Snow Lotus Witch looked at Levi and said, Although it's not explicitly prohibited, it's indeed not convenient for male wizards to enter the witches' district. Please leave, sir. Levi said with a sincere smile, Thank you, senior. I'll leave now. He just came to visit Anya. Seeing that this kid was full of energy, Levi was relieved. As for the two witches picking on him, he was already used to it when he was an external wizard in the witches' family. After returning to the island, Levi immediately went into seclusion. There are only 3 things I need to do in this seclusion. Meditation art, breathing techniques, and making potions. Other matters can wait. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Apart from making medicine, Levi's Scarlet Dragon breathing technique had naturally reached level 16, the 4th transformation of the blood source realm. He opened his eyes and looked at the proficiency panel calmly. Levi. Scarlet Dragon breathing technique, level 16, 1/800,000. Special effect, Scarlet Poison Body, level 4. Scarlet Contract, 4/5. After testing for a while, he found that after the Scarlet Dragon 4th transformation of the blood source realm, there were 3 changes. Firstly, his basic speed would increase. Secondly, the survival ability of the Scarlet Poison Body had increased. If he encountered a fatal danger, he could scatter into more blood-flying dragons to escape. As long as one escaped, he could reconstruct his body. Thirdly, the position of the Scarlet Contract had an additional slot. This meant that if he met a suitable target, he could recruit loyal workers again. In the future, my contract partner must be at least a 5th circle senior. Ordinary 5th circle are not worth wasting my quota unless they have a special status. After the Scarlet Dragon broke through, Levi temporarily stopped cultivating his breathing technique. In just a few years, it would be difficult for the 6 great breathing techniques to have a major breakthrough. However, his spiritual force was already at 550 points. He was only 20 points away from perfection. Within 4 years, he would be able to reach his limit, so he had to refine Night Demon's eternal darkness before his spiritual force reached its limit. Therefore, the main direction of his next goal was to make medicine. Let's continue. Million Mountains. At the Minotaur tribe, beside the demon well, mind flayers floated above, surrounded by the sacrifices sent by the Minotaur. Many of them were the bloody internal organs of humans and other demons. Ever since mind flayers settled in, the Minotaur tribe's life began to improve. More and more demon warriors went through the body tempering ceremony and embarked on the path of cultivation. Mind flayers, on the other hand, had made rapid progress in their cultivation thanks to the dense demonic aura in the demon well and the feedback from the hundreds of Minotaur. On this day, he finally broke through the bottleneck that restricted him to level 4. As the surging demonic aura flowed into Mind Flayer's body, his aura grew stronger and stronger, and his mental power was like a vast ocean. In the mind of Mind Flayers, the dark demonic aura began to gather and compress. Together with its vast spiritual force, a qualitative change occurred. In the end, everything transformed into a black crystal core. The men, women, and children of the Minotaur tribe felt the change in the surrounding demonic aura, and their expressions changed. The Minotaur chief was delighted as he exclaimed, "Ha ha ha! The heavens have blessed our Minotaur tribe. Don't panic. This is the true demon advancing into an ancient demon. After he becomes an ancient demon, our tribe will have a powerful level 5 warrior one day. Great, we have an ancient demon now. According to the rules of the Demon God Temple, any tribe with an ancient demon can be promoted to a large-scale tribe. Next, we can occupy more territories and mountains and raise more Minotaur warriors." These people were extremely excited. The relationship between the demons and the ancient demons determined that they would always be the vassals and subordinates of the demons. At the demon well, Mind Flayers opened his eyes, his tentacled face beaming. "Once the core of the abyss is born, I will be a level 5 demon. Even in the abyss, I will be an elite warrior. In the first layer of the abyss, I will be a general." Mind Flayers spread out his spiritual force and saw the entire Minotaur tribe. In the demon well, a shadow slowly appeared. Chapter 1228, Creating the Talisman. Lord Demon King. Mind Flayer's Flayer greeted respectfully. "That's right. After you become an ancient demon, you will be qualified to hold important positions in the Demon Temple. I will appoint you as the 168th General of the Temple and give you the title Ancient Demon of Heart. Next, all the small and medium-sized tribes near the Minotaur tribe will be under your command. We demons have been bullied for too long, so it's time to teach the Kane Empire a lesson." A majestic voice came from the shadow. Mind Flayers knew that this was a real demon lord, comparable to the primordial soul stage among the wizards. "Roger, Guillermo will definitely not disappoint my lord expectations." When the shadow disappeared, Mind Flayers felt helpless. Why did I inexplicably get into the enemy's higher-ups position again? It seems that in the near future, the Io continent will become even more chaotic. Not far from the Minotaur tribe, at the edge of the Million Mountains, in a hidden shelter, Holy Infant's eyes were bloodshot. He drew runes on the ground again, and countless animal skins piled up in the corners, forming a small mountain. These were all scrap goods. After an unknown period of time, Holy Infant suddenly looked ecstatic and laughed wildly. "I did it, I did it. I finally know how to ask for help from myself. So that's how it is, ha 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 ha." Holy Infant took out a new piece of beast skin. In his mind, the model of the first circle fireball technique kept flashing. At the same time, he chanted an incantation and then used a special quill to draw a rune on the beast's skin. A mysterious fireball pattern began to appear. In the end, the quill signed on the lower right corner of the animal skin: Earth, Fire, Wind, and Water, Ether Concealment, Ether Dominace Token. As the outline of the rune was completed, only a portion of his spiritual force and spell power were consumed. It did not involve the origin of his spiritual force. A divine rune that was similar to a spell scroll but completely different at the same time appeared. Ha ha ha, Fireball Talisman. Holy Infant threw the beast's skin into the air, and the Fireball Talisman exploded. At the same time, on an isolated island overseas, Levi opened his proficiency panel. Levi. Talisman Creation, Level 1, 1/1000. Sure enough, it worked. The reason why I was able to succeed is closely related to my unique ether meditation art. If one wanted to become the source of divine talismans, one had to possess authority similar to chaos. As for ether, it was born from chaos and then divided into 4 elements, which then evolved into other mutated attributes. Now, I can be considered to have created a new wizard skill, and I am the source of the power of all the major elementalist schools' divine talismans such as earth, fire, wind, and water. According to the legends of this realm, it was the Supreme Archmage who created the divine talisman. The Supreme Archmage received a revelation from Io. Io was the god of creation. He should be related to Sauron. It could be Sauron or the tower spirit of this ancient tower. Since the Supreme Archmage can be the source of power for the divine talisman, it means that the most powerful person in Io is the same as me. He has also cultivated a technique similar to the ether meditation art, which includes all schools. That's why he can provide power to the divine talismans of all major schools. Levi's intuition told him that the Supreme Archmage was not a simple level 7 expert. This was because even legendary wizards were divided into factions. There was no one like Levi who cultivated in all factions. The Supreme Archmage could not be more awesome than a legendary wizard, right? In my opinion, the Supreme Archmage should still be related to the Dark Ancient Tower. After all, the Ancient Tower was refined by Sauron using the Chaos Ancient Serpent, and the Chaos Ancient Serpent is a powerful god who controls the 4 elements, earth, fire, wind, and water. Suddenly, Levi thought of a terrifying matter. Could the Chaos Ancient Serpent still be alive? Could this Supreme Archmage be a product of the awakening of the Chaos Ancient Serpent's consciousness? That's why they set up a Church of Chaos and tried to make a comeback. The more Levi thought about it, the more he felt that things were not simple in the Ancient Tower. Forget it. This isn't something I should worry about. I've earned a lot anyway. Once the Ancient Tower closes, I won't have anything to do. The next time it opens will be 10,000 years later. Levi was no longer worried. He believed that with Sauron's strength, it should not leave behind the hidden danger like Chaos Ancient Serpent. Perhaps this was Sauron's intention. Levi wiped his sweat and sighed. Controlling the Holy Infant clone to do research is too tiring. I can relax for a while now. In the past few years, it seemed that his avatar was doing research, but in fact, it was still using his main body's computing power. While he cultivated, he had to study at the same time. It was equivalent to multitasking. He couldn't stay in this state for too long, or else he would suffer from schizophrenia sooner or later, and he might even end up in a state of sitting and forgetting. When can my avatar become more mature and be able to do research on its own? It can think independently on its own at a deeper level and take on all the things that need to be thought of. Forget it, this is too dangerous. If I produce a clone with its own personality and consciousness, wouldn't I be harming myself? I'll just use my clone as a simple tool. Mind Flayers have also advanced to level 5 and infiltrated the Demon God Temple. I can make use of his identity. Perhaps I can get more information about the upper circles of Io. Now that Phoenix and Mind Flayers had advanced to level 5 before their master, Levi was too embarrassed as their master. He had to speed up the progress. As for the Holy Infant clone, the most difficult part of creation was over. The next step was to continuously increase his proficiency in talisman making. Holy Infant and Levi were one, and they were all operating with Levi's consciousness. If Holy Infant researched, Levi would be researching. If Holy Infant created talismans, Levi would be creating talismans. Compared to research, creating talismans was much easier. When Levi was cultivating, he would give some of his computing power to his clone, just like how he would do it usually, and Holy Infant would be able to hijack itself. Chapter 1229, Begin Crystallization. Furthermore, Levi's main body's panel also had proficiency feedback while Holy Infant made the divine talismans. Levi was a perfected 4th circle wizard, so he was very knowledgeable and proficient in the 3 arts of wizardry. Moreover, he was also the creator of the way of divine talisman. Under such circumstances, his talisman crafting skill was still quite fast. It was improving rapidly every day. Cultivation had no time limit. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. During this period, Levi successfully refined a large amount of demon soul potion, enough for him to cultivate for a long time after reaching the 5th circle realm. Not long ago, he had also successfully refined a portion of Night Demon's eternal darkness. The 5th circle breakthrough potion was ready. Now that everything was ready, all that was left was to attain perfection for his spiritual force. A year later. Year 1195 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, the month of beginning. In the midst of his busy schedule, Levi went online for the round table meeting. He could tell at a glance that the Blood Knight had undergone a qualitative change. Levi said with a carefree smile, "Congratulations to Blood Knight for stepping into the realm of a level 4 knight." Blood Knight laughed, "Thank you, Commander. I didn't let you down. I've finally caught up with these young people." The other knights looked at him enviously. After the meeting, Levi and the Blood Knight chatted for a long time. It was indeed difficult for Blood Knight to reach level 4. He named his bloodline Dharma Idol the King of the Sky. He wanted to become the ruler of the sky like the Maya Eagle. The Blood Knight did not have the talent of a wizard, so he had been focusing on the path of knights for a long time. Coupled with his outstanding talent and the accumulation of his long lifespan, it was considered a good thing after a long time. Levi had always believed that he was close enough to become a legendary knight in the Doomsday era. His temperament, talent, and luck were all extraordinary. All they lacked was a suitable era. As the saying goes, how could golden scales be something in a pool? They would turn into dragons when they encountered wind and clouds. After the birth of the bloodline Dharma Idol, the Blood Knight's strength had increased exponentially. The defensive measures that he lacked the most had finally been completed. He relied on his divine weapon, his talent brand, and his sword skills to the point of perfection. He was able to fight with an ordinary fourth circle wizard without falling into a disadvantage. This was a huge breakthrough for the knights who had been established for more than 170 years. After witnessing the Blood Knight's methods, the other knights were also motivated and moved towards the Dharma Idol stage. After the meeting, Levi continued his cultivation. Several months later, Levi's consciousness came to his mind. The divine ring tower rotated slowly. In the projection on the tower's surface, the Holy Infant was drawing the divine talismans continuously. Levi's talisman crafting proficiency was increasing steadily. After 4 years of hard cultivation, Levi's talisman crafting skill had already reached level 3. According to his tests, a level 3 talisman crafting skill was enough to draw a third circle divine talisman. In the Kane Empire, this was the equivalent of a high-level divine talisman mage. After reaching level 3, Holy Infant continuously refines hundreds of third circle fire dragon tribulation divine talismans. As the divine talisman was only at level 3, they could not unleash the full power of the fire dragon tribulation. They were only at the level of the fire dragon tribulation when Levi was in the third circle realm. Even so, their power was far stronger than the fireball divine talisman from that Kane female mage. If these divine talismans were thrown out at the same time, they would explode in a chain reaction. If an ordinary fifth circle wizard were to take it head-on, they would either die or be injured. Moreover, the source of power for these divine talismans was borrowed by the Holy Infant from Levi. It was stored in the divine talisman and could be used in battle. As long as one had enough spiritual force, they could activate it by chanting the talisman. It was very convenient and did not require any additional spell power. To make a divine talisman, one needed a transcendent beast skin of the same level. As for Levi's beast skins, they were all taken from the black beasts, not ordinary creatures hunted. The materials on the black beasts had corrosive power from the land of darkness. They could not be used to make wizard tools because wizard tools needed to be used for a long time. If they used black beasts as wizard tools for a long time, they would definitely corrode the wizard's body, spiritual force, and will. However, using the black beast materials to make one-time use divine talismans was not a problem at all. After all, they were consumables and would not be used for a long time. Moreover, Levi had the purification elixir now, but he was reluctant to use it. After all, he didn't know if the saint fruit could be transplanted outside, so he didn't dare to waste them. He was filled with excitement. Levi's consciousness entered the interior of the divine ring tower. Among them, there were 570 spiritual stars hanging high in the sky. The starlight was dazzling and illuminated his sea of consciousness. Seeing this scene, Levi sighed and said, "It's not easy. Raising the upper limit of one's spiritual force while raising it at the same time. This is both painful and happy." He could have attained perfection long ago. However, he was too lucky. Along the way, he refined 4 truth oddities, which increased his maximum spiritual force by 70 points. Thus, it took him a long time. He didn't want to be stuck in the same realm. It was all because of these truth oddities. Although the Morning Star level oddity is already in the hands of the Flower Knight, I don't know how long it will be before I get it. Levi pondered. Currently, the ancient tower has been open for 30 years. According to Madame Triss, based on the usual average, the ancient tower had only been open for about half of the time. The ancient tower might have been open for the longest time in history. Therefore, it would take at least a few decades before the ancient tower closes. Levi was hesitating and struggling in his heart. Now, he already had an additional 7% success rate. Presumably, most of the top geniuses of those large organizations' success rates were not higher than his. If he waited any longer, perhaps the upper limit of his spiritual force could be increased, and the success rate of his advancement to the primordial soul stage in the future could be even higher. But, is that necessary? Levi asked himself. He was already prepared to advance to the fifth circle realm. He believed that he would definitely succeed in this advancement. There was no way he would fail. Should he advance to the fifth circle realm in one go? Or should he continue to limit his spiritual power and wait for decades? This was a difficult decision. The future is unpredictable. There are too many variables. Not all truth oddities can increase the upper limit of one's spiritual force. If I wait for so long and find that it doesn't have the expected effect, it will be even more hopeless. I'm already much luckier than the others to be able to consume 4 truth oddities. I have the Divine Ring Tower, 6 talents at perfection, 570 points of spiritual force, and the panel. I have other ways to increase the success rate of attaining a primordial soul. Perhaps there are other truth oddities on the 5th floor, but these were all uncertain. These need time to explore, and there is a high chance that they would be accompanied by danger. I need strength to gain a firm foothold on this 5th level where experts are as common as clouds. Thinking of this, Levi's gaze was firm as he looked in the direction of the Io continent. Next, I'll find a stable place of lightning and then use the lightning melting crystallization technique of the Saurite family to infuse my body with lightning and condense the crystals. Chapter 1230, Thunder Basin. Year 1195 of the Holy Brilliance Calendar, month of the Furnace. It was the 30th year since the dark ancient tower opened. Levi, who was cultivating in seclusion overseas, stepped onto the Io continent. He let Pixar guard the transcendent creatures on the island while he left quietly with Sawkins. Sawkins could protect him while he was in seclusion. A stable thunderland is either some secret realm, such as the 7th level's Thunder Pool secret realm, or a thunder array is built in a place rich in thunder element. It gathers thousands of thunder and creates suitable conditions. The Thunder Dragon family uses the second method. Levi naturally used the second method. The place he was going to was the Thunder Basin in Io continent. This basin was located in the western part of the Kane Empire. The basin was covered in dark clouds all year round, with frequent thunderstorms. This was also a place of convergence, but it had been occupied by the Empire a long time ago. The Church of Chaos had set up the Thunder Punishment Tribunal here, which was responsible for judging heretics and evil mages in the Empire. It was said that the sinners here would be thrown into the pool of thunder in the square in front of the church. The pool of thunder would not instantly kill the sinners. Instead, it would rely on the endless thunder inside to electrocute the criminals, causing them to be on the verge of death for a long time and suffer pain. The one who created such a vicious method of punishment was a lightning-type supreme mage from the Church of Chaos. People called him Lightning Supreme Mage. The person in charge of the Thunder Punishment Tribunal was a level 5 lightning-type archmage, Costas. He had been guarding this place all year round. He was the disciple of the Lightning Supreme Mage. He was strict and impartial. He was a terrifying nightmare in the hearts of evil people. This thunder pool was actually the best place for Levi to cultivate in seclusion. However, it was obviously too dangerous and Levi had to avoid it. Several days later, Levi arrived at the Thunder Basin. High up in the sky, dark clouds covered the sky, and lightning snakes covered the sky. Not bad. The power of the thunder element is extremely dense, it's even better than the realm of thunder. Next, I'll find a quiet place and use an array to draw the power of thunder. I'll build an artificial thunder pool for my seclusion. Levi's hermit rune flickered as he moved stealthily along the mountain ridges surrounding the basin. The next day, he went to one of the hidden sinkholes. The terrain here is not bad. It's suitable for me to build an array. Levi immediately got busy, setting up concealment, alert, and protective arrays in the surroundings. Then, in the center of the sinkhole, he set up the array to attract the heavenly thunder. After a few days of busyness, the already dense dark clouds above the sky became even gloomier and more oppressive. Terrifying lightning and thunder were brewing within, and then it was guided by the array and fell into the sinkhole. Countless electric snakes surged and spread inside, and the aura of destruction swept out. As Levi stepped into it, the lightning was not enough to threaten his life. Generally speaking, other than the lightning faction, it was extremely dangerous for the other factions to use the lightning melting crystallization technique because they could not control the strength of the lightning well and could easily electrocute themselves to death. However, Levi was different. He had an invincible physique, and he could directly take it head-on, just like when he had liquefied his spiritual force in the cold pond. By the time the lightning liquid was already surging at the bottom of the sinkhole, Levi revealed his flame dragon's true form and jumped into it. "Sawkins, protect me. Kill anyone who approaches," Levi said calmly. Sawkins nodded and accepted the 1,000 fate coins that Levi had given him in advance. At the bottom of the sinkhole, Levi's entire body was engulfed by the endless lightning liquid, like a cocoon. He closed his eyes and began to circulate the lightning melting crystallization technique. In his mind, a total of 570 drops of spiritual stars began to tremble under the power of lightning. Countless electric lights flashed on the spiritual stars. These stars were attracted by a kind of gravity and began to fuse with each other. Then, the 570 stars gathered together and formed a white liquid star. The spiritual force fusion has been completed. There's no more room for regret now. Let's begin the crystallization. 3 months later. Million Mountains. While Levi's main body was in seclusion, the Holy Infant clone was still working hard on the talisman crafting skill. Suddenly, a message came from the communication device that had not sounded for a long time. "Sir Holy Infant, everything is ready. Let's go." Currently, most of his energy was focused on researching how to crystallize, so he probably couldn't care less about the Holy Infant. However, the Holy Infant looked at the dense fire dragon tribulation divine talisman in front of him and smiled. With a wave of his hand, all the divine talismans disappeared. Holy Infant flew quickly toward the coordinates of the relic of the arcanist of blood. Before he left, he summoned the level 5 mind flayers and sealed them in the Book of Dead Souls. It was not necessary to use the mind flayers, but he just brought mind flayers along just in case. With a level 5 demon and a fire element, this trip to the relic should be safe. Several days later. Somewhere in the Million Mountains, there was a deep valley. The valley was shrouded in clouds and fog, and the situation inside could not be seen clearly. A terrifying beast roar could be heard. 2 figures stood there silently. One of them was wearing a white robe and had an old face. It was Arctic Wizard. The other was an icy witch. Above her head, a huge alchemy eagle was hovering and monitoring everything around it. "That person is here," the witch said calmly. Arctic Wizard was delighted. He had been waiting for this day for a long time. From the horizon, a 3-foot-tall wizard that looked like a child flew over and landed there. Chapter 1231, Venturing into Arcanist of Blood Relic. "Hello, both of you," Holy Infant smiled and said calmly. Arctic Wizard said with a smile, "Sir Holy Infant, let me introduce you to her. This is Witch Mary. She's a 5th Circle Array Wizard and also an Alchemy Wizard." "Hello, Madam Mary." Witch Mary nodded slightly in return and said, "There's no time to lose. Let's get started." Arctic Wizard nodded and said, "There are some black beasts at the periphery of the relic. However, according to my previous experience, most of them are level 1 and level 2. If we are careful, we can easily pass through. However, if we want to enter the relic, we have to face the 3 earthquake dragons. These earthquake dragons are ferocious and can create small-scale earthquakes. We have to be careful. If we are affected by the earthquake waves, even the 5th circle force field won't last long." Witch Mary and Holy Infant nodded in understanding. "Let's go." The 3 of them stepped into the foggy valley and disappeared. As soon as they entered the valley, a cold aura enveloped Holy Infant. The surrounding fog seemed to be able to hinder the detection of spiritual force. Holy Infant looked at Phoenix on his shoulder. If there was a battle, it would be Holy Infant's responsibility. As for the mind flayers and the divine talismans, they were his hidden trump cards. On the ground, there were corpses everywhere. These corpses looked extremely strange as if they were pieced together. These are modified monsters that have been dead for a long time. The life school of thought usually uses them to guard their homes. After 10,000 years, they've long turned into a pile of bones. "Time is merciless," sighed Arctic Wizard. One by one, alchemy crows flew out of Witch Mary's hand and entered the clouds. Suddenly, the fog in front of them churned, and there was a squeaking sound. They saw a group of black giant rats as big as bulls charging towards the three of them. Arctic Wizard waved his hand, and ice arrows shot out, killing a large number of black rats. These black rats are the most common black beasts in the land of darkness. They are not strong, but there are many of them. Everyone, be careful. The alchemy eagle on top of which Mary's head let out a cry. Runes flickered on its wings, and feather blades shot out, killing the black rats. Flames spread around Holy Infant. With him as the center, a scorching storm swept out, killing a large circle of black rats. It's a pity that their level is too low. Otherwise, the fur of these black rats would be a good material to make divine talismans, thought Holy Infant as he quietly sighed. According to the Encyclopedia of Divine Talismans, the fur of various beasts was usually the best material to make divine talismans. What he needed was the fur of a black beast above level 3. These giant rats were only at level 1 or level 2. Not long after, the three wizards cleared the black beasts. Before they could catch their breath, the fog above their heads began to surge, and giant bats descended from the sky one after another. Why are there so many black beasts here? Witchmary frowned and asked. Arctic Wizard replied, the valley here is dark and damp. It's filled with miasma and negative energy. These black beasts like to rest in such places the most. However, the black beasts here are rarely at level 4, so it's fine. We just need to kill our way there. The three of them used their own methods to deal with these small fries. As they ventured deeper into the valley, Arctic Wizard was soon slapped in the face. In front of them, a giant black snake coiled in the void, its scarlet eyes staring at the three of them. This giant snake was more than 100 meters long, and its body was covered in scarred scales. Its tail was raised like a rattlesnake, and it let out a warning sound. Its aura was already at level 5. Arctic Wizard smiled bitterly and said, what's going on? Did this valley become a new intersection in recent years? Generally speaking, there would be many black beasts that were sucked in by the ancient tower at the newly born intersection. Arctic Wizard asked, do you two still want to continue? This valley might be different from what I know. I'm not sure if there are any other dangers other than those 3 sub-dragons. Witchmary replied, since we're already here, let's continue. The real battle is coming up. I hope someone won't hold us back. She was obviously referring to Holy Infant Wizard who was at the perfected 4th circle realm. I'll continue too, Holy Infant said calmly and patted Phoenix's head. Arctic Wizard shouted, let's go. The next moment, the two wizards and Phoenix attacked at the same time. Arctic Wizard's innate spell was a tall and mighty ice giant phantom. The giant held the frost long sword in his hand and attacked the giant black snake. Witchmary still used the giant alchemy eagle to fight. The giant eagle used wind blades, hurricanes, and air cannons to constantly harass the giant snake. Phoenix spat out flames and fought with the giant snake. Although the black beast was powerful, it was not the work of 3 level 5 existences. After a while, after some effort, the black snake was on the verge of death. Then, its head was cut off by the ice giant's sword. Then, Phoenix's flaming breath turned the head into ashes. The giant black snake was dead. Phoenix returned to Holy Infant's shoulder. Witnessing this scene, the expression in Witchmary's eyes changed slightly. She said lightly, it's good to have a level 5 fire elemental spirit. I wonder if you are willing to part with it. If you're willing, I have some good things here that I can trade with you. Phoenix, who was sitting on the Holy Infant's shoulder, thought in disdain, what level do you think you're at? You also want to control me, the Flame Avenger, Anveda? Even if I agree, he won't. My importance to him goes without saying. Chapter 1232, Trading with Witchmary. Holy Infant was moved. He did not refuse immediately. He smiled and said, I wonder if you have anything good. If it's as valuable as this rare 5th grade fire elemental spirit, I can consider it. Phoenix found it unbelievable. He really plans to hand me over? Am I so insignificant in his heart? Arctic Wizard saw that the two of them seemed to have the intention to make a deal, so he consciously left the place and disappeared into the fog. Witchmary's expression did not change, but she was delighted. Initially, she did not have any hope at all and was just asking casually. After all, having a level 5 fire elemental spirit was equivalent to having another level 5 fighter. Other than that, it was an excellent helper for crafting weapons, alchemy, and medicine. Generally speaking, no wizard would trade. However, it seemed that Holy Infant had actually been persuaded by her. "You're a wizard from the burning faction, aren't you?" asked Witch Mary. "That's right," said Holy Infant with a smile. Witch Mary suddenly stretched out her hand, and a furry golden rat appeared in her hand. The golden rat's eyes were rolling, and its body was emitting a scorching aura. Truth runes were circulating on its body. "What do you think of this? Can I trade for a level 5 fire element with you?" When Holy Infant saw this scene, he almost broke his defense and cursed in his heart, "Damn you, my true body has just crystallized without regret, and you're here to mess with my mentality again, right?" "Wait, no, this is a large Earth-grade oddity." Great Rat's sniff. "According to my illustrated book of oddities, this oddity doesn't have the ability to increase the upper limit of one's spiritual force." "Phew, that's much better. I'll continue the crystallization." From the illustrated book of oddities. The Great Rat's sniff was a fire-type truth oddity. It had 3 functions. 1. Increase the power of fire spells. 2. Give birth to a third circle fire-type innate spell. 3. It was said that some very lucky wizard would have a chance to give birth to a type of spiritual companion after refining it. It was called the Gold Fur Great Rat. The Gold Fur Great Rat wasn't a living creature, nor was it a clone. It was a peculiar accompanying spiritual creature. This kind of spiritual companion would usually live in the nose of the refiner and be extremely alert. The Gold Fur Great Rat could predict danger to a certain extent, but its ability to predict danger was far inferior to Levi's. Of course, other than predicting danger, the Gold Fur Great Rat seemed to be born with the ability to sense magnetic fields, elements, and even treasures within a certain range. It was said that someone had once relied on the Gold Fur Great Rat to replace ruins hunters in searching for the relics of ancient wizards. However, no one knew how effective it was. As for relying on the Gold Fur Great Rat to obtain treasures, from the limited cases in the illustrated book of oddities, it seemed to be of little value. Many times, the places that the Gold Fur Great Rat went to might not be dangerous to it, but to the wizard, it was extremely dangerous. There was no return. As a result, more people were harmed by it, and very few truly benefited. After all, if it could greatly increase the efficiency of treasure hunting, it wouldn't be a large Earth-grade oddity, but an oddity at least Morning Star level or above. Thinking of this, Holy Infant immediately lost interest. In comparison, the phoenix in front of him was better. Seeing that Holy Infant did not respond for a long time, Witch Mary asked, "What do you think? Want to trade? If you want to trade, you can sign an agreement now. We'll trade in good faith." Holy Infant smiled apologetically and shook his head. He refused and said, "I'm sorry. Forget it. Although I'm from the burning faction, this kind of oddity is not very useful to me. Moreover, this fire elemental spirit has feelings for me. I won't trade it so easily." Witch Mary's face darkened. She snorted and said nothing. She put away the oddity and walked forward. Phoenix heaved a sigh of relief and cursed in her heart, "What feelings? You didn't want to exchange it because you saw that it wasn't worth much, right? If it was really valuable, I would have been exchanged by you. Damn it, I've bled and sweated for you. I've worked hard for so long. Even if I don't have any credit, I've worked hard. You're actually so cruel. As expected of my lifelong enemy." Phoenix was determined to torture Levi to death, otherwise her thoughts would be incomprehensible. Holy Infant stroked Phoenix's head and continued walking forward. Phoenix enjoyed it and purred. Holy Infant muttered to himself when he saw that no one had collected the corpse of the level 5 giant snake. He thought, "Since none of you want it, then I will do as I please." This snake skin can also be used to make divine talismans, but its effects are not as good as a level 5 beast skin. Besides, this is a level 5 material. When I go back, I can use the purification elixir to get rid of the dark corrosive power. It's excellent for alchemy and refining weapons. The thrifty Levi divided the giant snake into pieces and stored them in his storage ring before following them. Arctic Wizard saw that Witch Mary's expression did not look too good. It must be that the deal just now was not successful. He only hoped that this lady who was the only one who knew the way of arrays would not do anything funny next. Otherwise, his long wait would be in vain. Witch Mary did not say a word. The 3 of them finally killed some mutated creatures and black beasts and gradually went deep into the relic. At this moment, the 3 wizards had solemn expressions. Even without using their spiritual perception to sense, they could feel that the ground in this area was trembling slightly and rhythmically. Arctic Wizard said, "This is the sleeping earthquake dragon. Feel it carefully." You will be able to feel 3 different rhythms. It means there are 3 earthquake dragons. Chapter 1233, Fighting 3 Earthquake Dragons. I'll set up the array trap, said Witch Mary. Thank you. Holy Infant and Arctic Wizard thanked her. Witch Mary didn't say anything. She took out a disc-like array item which was engraved with complicated patterns and shimmering yellow runes. Earth-sinking Serene Prison Array, a 5th circle array. It looks like she's a genuine 5th circle array wizard with some skill, Holy Infant evaluated in his heart. With his current level of spiritual force, he could still try out the 5th circle array. However, he had been busy creating talismans and advancing to the 5th circle recently, so he had not had the time to try. Witch Mary chanted an incantation, and a pile of ether stones turned into yellow earth and elemental power, which was injected into these array discs. The array discs spun and flew out, disappearing into the fog. If one were to look from the sky, one would be able to see a circle of earth and yellow light flickering and then disappearing into the ground. The earth-sinking Serene Prison Array was a portable, small-scale array that could be quickly set up. In Holy Infant's opinion, in terms of power, it was inferior to the 7 Kings of Hell that he had modified many times. Watching Mary set up the array, Holy Infant thought to himself, after reaching the 5th circle realm, upgrading the version of the 7 Kings of Hell should also be put on the agenda. It's best to research a simple and low-level miniature array of the 7 Kings of Hell. This way, it'll be easier to use in actual combat. The array is ready. Next, Holy Infant will lure the Earthquake Dragon over, said Witch Mary calmly. Holy Infant felt helpless. It seemed that this woman was still dissatisfied with what had just happened. Furthermore, he could feel that this woman seemed to look down on him, a 4th circle wizard. Unlike Arctic Wizard, she did not treat himself as a peer. Of course, he couldn't blame anyone else. After all, Holy Infant's cultivation was low. I'll go. I'm more familiar with this place, Arctic Wizard sighed. Thank you, sir, Holy Infant thanked him. Arctic Wizard nodded and entered the fog ahead. After flying for an unknown period of time, he saw a huge pit ahead. There were many sparkling crystals around the hole. Most of them were ordinary items, but there were also some transcendent materials that wizards could use. 3 earth and yellow dragons that were similar in appearance and size were lying in the pit, snoring loudly. As they snored, the ground shook. The 3 of them were the kings of this valley. The 3 brothers were invincible when they joined forces, so they were less vigilant. However, Arctic Wizard's arrival still caught their attention. The big earthquake dragon in the middle opened its yellow eyes and woke up the 2 brothers who were still sleeping. The 3 earthquake dragons stood up. They didn't have dragon wings, and they looked like earthly dragon beasts from the mortal world. However, as the earth and yellow sand gathered in the surroundings, they rode the sandstorm and flew into the sky with a terrifying momentum. Arctic Wizard took a deep breath, and 3 ice great swords shot out from his hands toward the 3 earthquake dragons. Ang! 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 The 3 earthquake dragons roared in anger, and a yellow light spread out, shattering the ice. Boom! One of the earthquake dragons descended from the sky like an asteroid crashing into Earth. Its terrifying weight coupled with its vast dragon power caused the Earth to shake, and a visible shockwave swept in all directions. Arctic Wizard's protective force field flashed, and the ice wings on his back flapped. He turned into a blue light and flew towards the trap. On the other side, he could feel the increasingly intense tremors. Witch Mary and Holy Infant were ready. Activate the array and prepare for battle, Arctic Wizard shouted. Boom! In the next moment, the 3 earthquake dragons rode on the yellow sand and charged over. If he was hit, the force field of a 5th circle wizard would be shattered instantly. Phoenix! Go! Holy Infant hurriedly retreated. Phoenix would be the one to fight the rest of the battle. He was merely a 4th circle wizard, so he would not participate. As a level 5 sub-dragon, the earthquake dragon's strength was not to be underestimated. Their bodies were like small mountains. They did not need any spells. With just a raise of their hands, they had the power to destroy the world. Most importantly, there were still 3 of them. That was why Arctic Wizard had never thought of killing all 3 of them. Instead, he wanted to trap or expel them as much as possible, and then leave after obtaining the treasures inside the relic. After the 3 inseparable earthquake dragons entered the range of the array, rays of earth and yellow light shot into the sky. The ground began to collapse, and a huge sinkhole was formed. A huge suction force came from within. The 3 earthquake dragons that were flying in the air directly fell into the sinkhole. The ground trembled and dust filled the air. "Quick, take this opportunity to attack," said Witch Mary. The giant alchemy eagle above her head spat out countless white wind swords and hit the back of one of the earthquake dragons. Its scales began to crack and it wailed in pain. Arctic Wizard's robe billowed as snowflakes fell from the sky. The ground was frozen, and the power of extreme cold swept out. The 3 earthquake dragons were sealed within, unable to move for a moment. Sharp flaming feather blades shot out from Phoenix's body. Boom! After a premeditated and well-coordinated barrage of attacks, the tough defense of the 3 earthquake dragons was instantly penetrated. Frost and flames intertwined on the wound. Ice and fire were 2 heavens, and it was extremely painful. The 3 brothers were naturally not easy to deal with. They roared toward the sky and spat out earth and yellow dragon breath. For a moment, it was a mess. In the chaos, Holy Infant who was swimming in the water flicked his fingers. 3 inconspicuous streams of light entered the wounds of the 3 brothers. He muttered to himself, "I'll make a mark first. After I advance, I'll come and take you all." Chapter 1234, Arcanist of Blood Items. After doing all this, he quickly left the battlefield. After an unknown period of time. Rumble. An earth-shattering explosion sounded. The earth-sinking serene prison array was completely torn apart by the 3 brothers' struggles. However, at this moment, the 3 brothers were already heavily injured and were bleeding profusely. After breaking through the array, they did not continue to attack. They looked at the group of people with hatred in their eyes and quickly left. It was obvious that the 3 brothers would remember this grudge. Perhaps they would seek revenge in the future. "Do you want to chase after them? The corpse of a sub-dragon is also very valuable," asked Witch Mary. Arctic Wizard replied, "Forget it. A trapped beast will fight, and that kind of beast is the most dangerous. Let's hurry up and find the treasure before retreating. I have a feeling that the 3 earthquake dragons will come back. If they find their own kind, we have no chance of winning." Arctic Wizard flew forward. After the battle ended, Holy Infant ran out from somewhere and hurriedly followed. Witch Mary stretched out her hand and blocked Holy Infant. She asked icily, "Why did you run away just now? Why didn't you fight?" Holy Infant smiled and replied, "My strength is all in the fire elemental spirit. If I come forward to help, I'll only be more of a hindrance, so I found a safe place to hide for a while. My pet also contributed a lot to this battle. How can you say that I didn't fight? This is slander." With that, Holy Infant ignored her and quickly chased after Arctic Wizard. Witch Mary looked at the back of Holy Infant and the fire elemental spirit on his shoulder with a gloomy expression. Not long after, the 3 of them arrived in front of a dilapidated wizard tower. Around the wizard tower, there was still an array absorbing elemental power. It was slowly operating, but it was quite broken. "It's indeed a complicated array. No wonder Witch Mary took so long to prepare," Holy Infant muttered to himself. At this time, Witch Mary took out the items that she had prepared to break the array, and array flags flew into it. She mumbled something as sweat dripped down her forehead. Then, the broken array finally lost its effectiveness and stopped operating. After the 3 of them confirmed that there were no other traps, they came to the surroundings of the wizard tower. There was a small herb garden here, but no one had taken care of it for 10,000 years. The herbs were sparse, and most of them were weeds and shrubs. The 3 of them were afraid that others would steal their treasures, so they kept an eye on each other. Upon seeing that, Arctic Wizard suggested, "Let's see what we have first and we'll distribute it later." "How about that?" Agreed. The ancient tower was extremely quiet. There was nothing of value inside until they reached the highest level. In a dry bath, they saw a white skeleton. The skeleton had dragon horns on its head, wings on its back, and a pair of huge dragon claws. It looked similar to the claws of the earthquake dragon outside. "This is the Arcanist of Blood. He died alone in his own bathroom," Arctic Wizard suddenly exclaimed. There were many storage rings on the claws of the Arcanist of Blood. Arctic Wizard took off the rings and poured out all the items inside. He let Holy Infant and Mary examine the items. On the ground, there were mountains of ether stones and all kinds of bottles and jars. However, the things inside had already dried up. There were also a large number of books and spell models. After a round of searching, Arctic Wizard's face lit up as he picked up 3 stone slates. Earth Core Crystal Shattering Technique, Mountain Moving Spirit Concentration Technique, Dragon Soul Mystic Classic. I roughly scanned through them. Other than the Dragon Soul Mystic Classic, the first two are the Crystal Shattering Technique and Spirit Concentration Technique which we need. It's best that only the three of us know about this precious secret technique. If it's leaked, it'll definitely bring us trouble. Therefore, according to our agreement, the three of us have to sign a confidentiality contract. This matter will not be leaked. Lastly, this Dragon Soul Mystic Classic is the secret method that the Arcanist of Blood used to condense his soul. If you too want it, you can copy it. Arctic Wizard was sincere about it. This was what everyone had agreed upon at the beginning. Holy Infant and Witch Mary were naturally fine. The three of them copied each of the three most precious books. Then, Arctic Wizard clenched his hand, and cold air burst out. In front of the two of them, the original stone slab was crushed. Other than that, there was also some knowledge, mainly from the Life School of Thought and the Earth School of Thought. The three of them discussed this knowledge and copied it. As for the remaining resources, including the herbs outside, according to the original agreement, Holy Infant would get a quarter while Arctic Wizard and Witch Mary would get the other 3/4. Everyone, it's been a pleasure working together this time. When we return to the wizard world in the future, I look forward to our continued cooperation. Arctic Wizard's expression was great. It was obvious that he had gained a lot. After saying that, he quickly left the place and did not stay for a moment longer. Madam Mary, we'll meet again if fate permits. Holy Infant smiled and also entered the fog, leaving hurriedly. If the three Earthquake Dragon brothers returned, he wouldn't be able to deal with them alone. Witch Mary's eyes flickered as she chased after Holy Infant. With her 5th circle cultivation base, it was naturally easy for her to catch up to a 4th circle wizard. It didn't take long for her to catch up to Holy Infant. Holy Infant was currently picking herbs in the valley, completely unaware that he was about to die. Sensing that someone was there, Holy Infant looked up with a puzzled expression and asked, "Madam, is there anything else? Hand over the fire elemental spirit and its control method. Become my wizard servant, and I can bring you out of the dark ancient tower safely. Otherwise, the valley in this foreign world will be your grave," threatened Witch Mary. Above her head, the giant alchemy eagle hovered and stared at Holy Infant. Chapter 1235, a free level 5 alchemical creature. Holy Infant's expression changed. Then, he smiled bitterly, "Madam, how about I agree to the deal just now? I'll take the oddity, and you take the fire element." When Phoenix heard that, her heart sank as she thought, "I may not be human, but you're a real dog." Mary sneered, "You want to trade now? Too late, I just made a deal with you on account of Arctic Wizard, but you refused. You're just a mere 4th circle wizard, and you want to be on equal footing with me by relying on a mere level 5 fire element? Who gave you the courage?" The alchemy eagle in the sky dived down without any explanation, and a terrifying wind blade swept towards Levi. This was a level 5 alchemical creature, the one which Mary relied on the most other than the array. "Madam, I don't want to fight to the death," Holy Infant threatened. Witch Mary said with a sneer, "Well, you might die, but I won't. Phoenix, go. We'll fight her to the death." Holy Infant patted his shoulder, and Phoenix reluctantly flew into the sky to fight the alchemy eagle. A steel giant bird and a flame giant bird collided in the sky with astonishing might. "You're courting death." Witch Mary was surrounded by a force field, and she had also prepared her innate spells. She thought that Holy Infant was going to fight her to the death. However, she saw Holy Infant dragging a long trail of flames as he ran away. "You tricked me." She was filled with killing intent and quickly chased after him. "Don't force me." Holy Infant looked at the approaching Witch Mary and threatened her. "It's just a threat from the weak." Witch Mary waved her hand, and level 3 alchemy crows shot out one after another. "Capture him alive," she ordered. Flames surrounded Holy Infant, burning the alchemy crows and causing them to fall. "You're quite capable, but that's it." Witch Mary waved her hand, and several level 4 alchemy creatures flew out and surrounded Holy Infant. Seeing this, Holy Infant stopped. "Why aren't you running anymore?" Witch Mary asked jokingly. Holy Infant smiled, revealing his big white teeth, like a devilish child who had succeeded in his evil scheme. Rays of arrays rose from the sky and enveloped Witch Mary. "This is Demon Cage Formation. Did you just leave to set up the array? You're actually an array wizard, you've hidden it so well. However, I'm very curious. How did you know that I would harm you?" Witch Mary was not too flustered. She was also an array wizard, and she was a 5th circle one. Although the array in front of her was different from the regular demon cage array, it was not difficult to break it. Holy Infant did not answer her. With a wave of his hand, hundreds of animal skins fell into the demon cage array. On each animal's skin was a fire dragon. Although she didn't know what kind of method this was, the strong sense of crisis made Witch Mary's force field flash crazily, and all the alchemical creatures were released to protect her, their master. Explode! Holy Infant said coldly. In the next moment, hundreds of third circle fire dragon tribulation exploded in the narrow space of the demon cage array. Countless fire dragons roared, and the flames that filled the sky fused into a huge fire dragon that reached the sky. At the same time, a secret fire sphere appeared in the hands of Holy Infant Wizard. Fifth circle spell, solar aggregation. A huge sun squeezed in and merged with the giant fire dragon. At that moment, nearly 350 Ka of energy was released. Even a fifth circle senior wizard would have to retreat. In the terrifying explosion, Witch Mary only let out a scream before her aura quickly dissipated. Holy Infant muttered in his heart, "To be honest, without my danger perception, I wouldn't have known that you wanted to harm me. I was only traumatized by exploring relics and secret realms and had paranoia from being persecuted by my teammates. I also didn't feel safe without my main body here, so I found an excuse to set up an array. I didn't expect it to really come in handy. Sigh, where is the trust between people? Couldn't they be like Arctic Wizard, where everyone could explore the secret realm peacefully and work together for a win-win situation? Why do you have to fight and kill? How boring." In the center of the explosion, Holy Infant found a storage ring that looked extraordinary. The ring exuded the aura of time, and the words Lame were written on it. Other than that, everything else had been purified by the flames. This divine talisman is really useful. It just costs more black beasts. Looks like I have to hunt more black beasts in the ancient tower and bring them back. Holy Infant came to Phoenix's battlefield. The alchemy eagle was no match for Phoenix in a one-on-one battle. Moreover, the controller was already dead. In the end, it stayed where it was and did not move. Not bad, a level 5 alchemical creature for free. Holy Infant happily put away the alchemy eagle and left the valley with Phoenix. My crystallization has already begun, and there's no way to stop it. I'll wait until I advance to the next level before deciding on this new oddity. At that time, I'll have to subdue the 3 earthquake dragon brothers. That will be the most important harvest. The battle between Holy Infant and the Witch Mary did not cause any commotion in the outside world. These two people were not famous, and their fight was not interesting to watch. There was no interest in discussing them at all. Especially in the past few years, the top wizard geniuses had also advanced to the 5th circle one after another, competing for Io. The atmosphere in the dark ancient tower was pushed to a climax. Just a few days ago, a huge battle broke out at an intersection between the elites of Storm City led by the Sky Dragon Wizard, and the subordinates of the 9 Cities Alliance led by the Fire Dragon Destroyer. The 9 Cities Alliance was no match for them and led their troops to retreat. The Sky Dragon Wizard became famous in one battle and appeared out of nowhere. He had a 5th circle cultivation base, profound spells, a dual cultivation body, a pure-blooded dragon descendant bloodline, and a sub-dragon mount. His ranking in the ancient tower shot up like a rocket to the top of the overall ranking. Just like the Fire Dragon Destroyer, he was sandwiched between a group of 5th circle existences and even surpassed some of the 5th circle senior existences. For a moment, Sky Dragon Wizard Cyrus was in the limelight. The Hurricane Sky Island had earned enough attention. Today, the entire Io continent has become a stage for geniuses. They fought against the heavens and the earth with high morale and blood. The only ones who could compete with these wizards were the smaller and more powerful races, such as the Amethyst race, Dragon Abomination, and Tomb Clan. Especially the Amethyst race, their pair of purple iron fists were unhindered in Io, and geniuses who weren't wizards wouldn't dare to go against them. Dragon Abomination was much inferior, especially since the notorious 3-headed Dragon Abomination was suspected to have died. Its presence had dropped again and again. Outside the dark ancient tower, Dragon Abomination Venerable looked at the battle between the higher-ups, but his eyes occasionally looked at the 4th and 5th floor. Why has the child been silent for so long? Did he die prematurely? Sigh, the path of the strong is destined to be filled with thorns. Chapter 1236, Ascension to the 5th Circle, 1. Dark Ancient Tower, 5th Layer. In the depths of the Dark Ancient Tower, at its mysterious 5th layer, lay the expansive Million Mountains. After sending the Mind Flayers back to the Minotaur tribe, the Holy Infant returned to his secluded training ground. He took out the storage ring he had acquired from Witch Mary and broke the restriction on it, revealing its contents. A cascade of ether stones spilled out, forming a mountain of sparkling gems. The Holy Infant counted them and discovered there were 1,000,000 ether stones in total. It made sense that Witch Mary, being both an array wizard and an alchemy wizard, would carry such a large quantity of ether stones to facilitate her spell formations. 16 million ether stones, he murmured to himself. Once I return to the wizard world, I must quickly convert these into resources and combat power. I have no interest in money. Apart from the ether stones, there were numerous alchemical creatures, though most were of low quality. It seemed that Witch Mary favored quantity over quality in her alchemical pursuits. Levi, however, preferred to focus on fewer, but higher quality creations. Keeping too many was useless, they were merely cannon fodder. Among these alchemical creatures, only one was of the 5th level. The alchemy eagle. This giant eagle, known as the Hast Eagle, was about the height of a person and resembled a mundane golden eagle. However, it possessed the ability to solidify and manipulate its size through a size-altering spell, allowing it to appear much larger. Refined primarily from 5th level wind elemental metal and supplemented with other rare materials, the eagle could release the wind elemental power within the metal as wind blades or hurricanes, making it a formidable weapon. Not bad, the Holy Infant mused. It's a 5th level combat power after all. In the future, I can have Phoenix act as the eagle's pilot. Combining wind and fire will make for even greater power. With this thought, the Holy Infant summoned Phoenix and sent it outside for training. Phoenix complied silently, its expression one of grievance. Since their return from exploring the relic, it had been this way, and the Holy Infant had grown accustomed to it. Next, the Holy Infant retrieved a glass jar containing a trembling golden mouse, the truth oddity known as the Great Rat's Sniff. If only you had appeared earlier. Oh well, I said I would have no regrets, and I won't. Missing a great opportunity for advancement over an uncertain future would be true regret. With that, he put the oddity away and continued searching for more treasures. Finally, he found 2 books. One of them contained 5th level array knowledge, which required no further explanation. But the other one was quite unexpected. It was titled LeMay's Alchemy Cottage. So, it's him. I thought the LeMay inscribed on the ring was a coincidence. It seems Witch Mary might be a descendant of Master LeMay. Master LeMay was a renowned alchemy wizard. Levi had once obtained his alchemical legacy, LeMay's secret workshop, at an auction. Now, he had found a similar legacy from Witch Mary. What shocked Levi the most was that this legacy directly pertained to 5th level alchemical creatures, surpassing the usual level 1 to 4 alchemical creatures. The legacy included 12 5th level alchemical blueprints, one of which was the Hast Eagle. Additionally, there were 3 6th level blueprints and 1 7th level blueprint. Ultimately, Levi found a brooch with the inscription Mary LeMay. Indeed, she is a descendant of Master LeMay. It's incredible to think that after 10,000 years, the LeMay family has fallen to such a state, the Holy Infant sighed. LeMay's alchemy cottage was the highest level of knowledge legacy he had ever acquired. The 7th level alchemical creatures were formidable enough to contend with powerful beings like the Molten Gold Wizard King. It was awe-inspiring to consider their potential. The School of Alchemy was a relatively small faction, lacking even a Grand Wizard. Its strongest members were likely of the 8th circle level. Levi speculated that the legacy he had obtained might be the highest level of alchemical knowledge available. After I reach the 5th circle, my next goal will be to refine all the 5th level alchemical creatures from these blueprints. They can both guard my home and assist me in battle. The 12 5th level alchemical creatures were divided into 4 elements, earth, fire, wind, and water, with 3 creatures for each element. LeMay referred to them as the 3 wind gods, 3 fire gods, 3 earth gods, and 3 water gods. The Hast Eagle was one of the 3 wind gods. The other 2 wind god models were the Kulkan feathered serpent and the Amesh's winged dragon. The Holy Infant was deeply impressed after reading about the 3 wind gods. If these 3 models appear together, they can combine into the wind god model, with power comparable to a senior 5th circle wizard. He quickly examined the 3 fire gods and 3 water gods, discovering that they had similar capabilities. Once the 3 models of the same element were assembled, they could form the respective fire god or water god models. If he managed to assemble all 12 gods of earth, fire, wind, and water, they could combine into the ultimate Nick god model. The Nick god's power would be enough to suppress most perfected 5th circle wizards. The 3 6th level blueprints represented ice, thunder, and metal. The final 7th level blueprint was beyond the Holy Infant's current knowledge. He could only comprehend the name of its model, Divine Weapon Titan. What a magnificent alchemical creature, the Holy Infant marveled. Levels 6 and 7 are too distant for me. For now, my short-term goal is to refine the 3 wind gods. In the 3rd layer of the dark ancient tower, Levi had collected a lot of mist sand, which was wind elemental metal. With other materials, he had enough to complete the 3 wind gods. Chapter 1237, Ascension to the 5th Circle, 2. At this stage, it's best to focus on talisman crafting and leave alchemy for after my ascension, the Holy Infant decided. He then took out the 3 techniques for ascending to the primordial soul level. Earth Core Crystal Shattering Technique. This method involves traveling to the vicinity of a small plane's core and using immense pressure to shatter the crystal. It's a common technique in the Earth School of Thought and the Burning School of Thought, similar to the Thunder Fire Crystal Shattering Technique. It's a second-rate method, relying on external forces, with a few drawbacks. First, reaching the core of a small plane is difficult, as most 5th Circle wizards lack the ability to venture into the land of darkness to find such a plane. Second, even near the core of a small plane, the temperature, density, and pressure are incredibly daunting. Those with insufficient cultivation may be crushed by the high pressure before even reaching the core. As a result, the Earth School of Thought developed arrays to simulate the core's environment. These arrays are less effective and have a lower success rate, but they are safer. I do have access to a small plane, the Ancient Saint Plane. This method might come in handy in the future. Mountain Moving Soul Condensation Technique. This third-rate soul condensation method involves covering a small mountain with one's spiritual force before ascending to the primordial soul level. Gradually, you try to lift the mountain with your spiritual force. Through years of practice, when the mountain slightly trembles, you're ready. At this point, you take a breakthrough potion and shatter the crystal, potentially giving birth to a primordial soul. Even a small mountain hundreds of meters high weighs an immense amount, highlighting the vast difference between the primordial soul and the 5th circle level. A 5th circle perfection wizard, using their full power and spells, might shatter a small mountaintop. But moving a mountain with spiritual force alone is an entirely different level. Spells are a shortcut for wizards to harness supernatural strength and are the leverage for manipulating the world. Without spells, no matter how strong one's spiritual force, moving a mountain is nearly impossible. Even with Levi's current Night Realm, activating the Flame Dragon's true form and various enhancements, he couldn't physically lift a mountain. No wonder primordial souls are so revered. Their power can stir rivers and seas, move mountains. It's not just a legend. The Holy Infant looked at the last technique. Dragon Soul Mystic Classic, created by the Arcanist of Blood through wild imagination, it is divided into 2 parts, the Dragon Blood Crystal Shattering Technique and the Dragon Soul Spirit Concentration Technique. The Dragon Blood Crystal Shattering Technique requires 2 types of level 6 or higher dragon blood. The conflicting nature of different dragon bloodlines is used to shatter the crystal through their clash. The Dragon Soul Spirit Concentration Technique involves sending the bewildered soul of a level 6 or higher sub-dragon into one's spiritual sea, merging it with the crystal. When the crystal is finally shattered, the result is not a pure primordial soul but a dragon primordial soul, a powerful being half wizard, half sub-dragon. This is too insane, it's even riskier than the Earth Core Crystal Shattering Technique and the Mountain Moving Soul Condensation Technique. After reading, the Holy Infant felt that the Arcanist of Blood was indeed a madman. No wonder he went insane. He deliberately used the conflicting nature of different dragon bloodlines to impact the crystal and fused a dragon soul into his own crystal. This was truly beyond human limits. Without a cheat, playing like this is courting death. The Holy Infant sighed, storing away all the secret techniques. He was still far from reaching the primordial soul level. For now, he needed to gather more secret techniques, compare them, and use this knowledge as a reference. Whether he relied on others' methods or created his own in the future, these insights would be invaluable. Let's continue crafting talismans and strive to reach the 4th level soon. Time flew by, months passed. In the Holy Brilliance calendar year 1195, during the month of Northern Wind, in the western part of the Kane Empire, lay the Ron province. This area, once a frontier, had become an established province of the empire over the years. The Church of Chaos had established the Thunder Monastery in Ron province, led by Lightning Supreme Mage Nurez. In Stan City, the second largest city in the province after the capital, the Order of Thunder maintained peace and eliminated heresy. On this particular day, thick smoke rose from the central part of Stan City, where the Order of Thunder's treasury was located. 9 witches and 1 wizard were battling a group of top mages from the Order. These were 2 squads from the Witches family executing a joint mission, led by Phantom Witch Sierra and Green Vine Witch Winnie, both at the 4th Circle Perfection level. Anya, the main offensive force of the team, sat cross-legged at the back, protected by green bronze armor. With a flick of his fingers, Knight's long swords materialized and flew towards the enemies. Just then, a mage from the Order sneaked up from behind. "Heretic!" he shouted angrily, gripping his lightning staff. A huge lightning ball shot towards Anya. A shadow flashed, shattering the lightning ball into electric serpents that dissipated. It was the Phantom Witch. She smiled slightly and with a wave of her hand, a massive water vortex appeared around the mage, pulling him in. "Thank you." Anya smiled, though he was confident his protective force field could have withstood the attack. Chapter 1238, Ascension to the 5th Circle, 3. "No worries," the Phantom Witch replied as she quickly vanished to support the others. Before long, the indigenous mages were utterly defeated by the elite assault team. In contrast, only a few members of the Witches family squad sustained injuries, highlighting the stark difference in power. "Too weak, not even a bit of challenge," Witch Winnie remarked with a smile. "Indeed," Nola added, kicking the corpse of a male mage and spitting. "So ugly." Anya frowned slightly at this but said nothing. Soon, the team breached the treasury protected by an array. Upon seeing its contents, they were stunned. The vast treasury was empty except for an overwhelming presence of negative energy. Ghosts and wraiths hovered around, giving it a hellish atmosphere. In the center of the treasury stood a small, pitch-black tree bearing fruit resembling dates. The tree was planted in a 3-meter-wide Dharma artifact basin, filled with various bones, including some that appeared freshly tossed in. The tree's roots dug into the bones, absorbing the blood and flesh. "What on earth is this?" Nola exclaimed in shock at the sight. The Phantom Witch looked delighted and said, "This is a dead soul date. Previously, only wild individuals were found in hell, so it was difficult to transplant them successfully. I didn't expect the Church of Chaos to hide such a thing in the church's treasure vault. No wonder they sent so many people to guard it. Tisk, tisk, tisk. This is an evil thing in the eyes of mortals." The Phantom Witch's face lit up with joy. "This is a dead soul date tree. Previously, such specimens were only found in hell and were very difficult to transplant successfully. I can't believe the Church of Chaos hid one in their treasury. No wonder they had so many guards. This is considered an evil artifact by mortals." "Is it useful?" someone asked. "This plant produces a fruit that, when consumed over many years, can slightly enhance spiritual force. It has no consumption limit, though it does have side effects due to its growth from negative energies and death auras. Consuming too many can affect one's mind. These fruits look unripe, otherwise, the archmages of the Church of Chaos would have harvested them already." "Let's take it anyway," Winnie suggested. "This is valuable. We can exchange it for a lot of cultivation resources with our organization. This thing can't be stored in a storage ring. Someone needs to use a spell to transport it back to the organization's base," the Phantom Witch instructed. Just as she finished speaking, her expression changed dramatically. Outside the treasury, a wizard descended from the sky. He had long, fiery red hair, a strikingly handsome face with an arrogant air, and was bare-chested, revealing well-toned muscles. A flaming red ribbon danced around his waist, and he stood barefoot. In his palm, crimson chess pieces circled. "Seal." With a wave of his hand, the chess pieces in the air enlarged, transforming into terrifying dragon heads that landed around the treasury, emitting a powerful suppressive force. Everyone present felt as if they were trapped in a quagmire. "You're the fire dragon destroyer, Simon," the Phantom Witch exclaimed in shock. This young wizard was none other than the renowned rising star of the 9 Cities Alliance. Not only was he a 5th Circle wizard, but also an array wizard and a weapon craftsman. The dragon head chess pieces he used as array items were a testament to the numerous dragons he had slain and his immense strength. "Correct. I didn't expect to find such a catch while passing through. Where's the Snow Lotus Witch? She's not here? Killing a bunch of 4th Circle kids is hardly entertaining," Simon chuckled lightly. "There are 10 of us. We might stand a chance," Anya suddenly declared, sweat streaming down his forehead as he sent a long sword flying towards Simon. Simon didn't even bother to activate his defensive field. His eyes turned crimson, revealing the faint silhouette of a towering fire god. In an instant, two beams of flame shot out, melting the incoming longsword into molten metal that dripped onto the ground. If I look at you any longer, you'll explode. You have no idea how vast the gap is between us, silver-haired pretty boy, Simon said, stepping up to Anya, who found himself unable to move. Simon lifted Anya's chin with a playful smirk. Don't play with fire. If you willingly become my manservant, I might spare your life. Anya shuddered with disgust. In the next moment, a blue light burst from his body, radiating a powerful energy wave. Simon's playful demeanor vanished as he quickly retreated. A white, jade-like woman's hand emerged, with long, beautiful fingers exuding a peculiar fragrance. The array Simon had set up glowed brightly, coalescing into a massive dragon-slaying sword that clashed with the hand. Dragon Destruction Array, Dragon's Dusk. Boom! The terrifying shockwave shattered the array's suppressive force. Regaining his mobility, Anya hurriedly grabbed the nearest phantom witch and stepped into a teleportation portal, disappearing instantly. It was clear he had used the trump card given by Triss. These resources would only be used by Anya in life and death situations. Taking advantage of this, the other witches employed various techniques to flee in different directions. Simon remained motionless, letting out a cold laugh as fiery tentacles shot out, grabbing the fleeing witches from all directions. Amidst the cacophony of spell arrays and explosions, half of the witches were captured by Simon's fiery tentacles. The rest who escaped, he didn't bother to pursue, sensing a powerful presence approaching. Behind him, a gigantic silhouette of a fire god appeared, and with it, he uprooted the entire treasury along with the dead soul date tree inside. Chapter 1239, Ascension to the Fifth Circle, 4. Lord Simon, please don't kill me. My name is Nola, and I am your admirer, the unfortunate witch trembled, tears streaming down her face. Oh, I'm curious, how much do you admire me? Simon's eyes sparkled with amusement. As long as you don't kill me, I'll do anything you want. I can leave the witch's family and become your servant, Nola replied, blushing as she fantasized about being accepted by Simon. Winnie spoke up, Lord Simon, Nola's mother is also a fifth circle wizard and currently resides in the Dark Ancient Tower. I don't think you need to offend another fifth circle wizard, do you? Besides, we are willing to give you everything in our storage rings. There's no need for this to be a matter of life and death. Simon listened without a word, leaving the witches in a state of unease. Then, he grinned and said, sorry, but I still want to kill you. Despair washed over Nola and Winnie, cursing Anya internally for escaping with only Sierra and not taking them along. Simon's eyes shot out flames, slicing through Nola's protective force field like tofu. She was cut in half, her body already partially cooked. Boom! As Simon attacked Nola, Winnie sprang into action. Her attack, however, failed to breach Simon's protective field. Simon grabbed Winnie's throat, her face turning crimson as she struggled to breathe. In the next moment, Winnie's flesh and bones ignited, turning to black ash that Simon blew away with a breath. Casually dealing with two fourth circle wizards, Simon suddenly looked outside. Bold heretic, how dare you steal our sacred treasure? From the sky descended an imperial archmage in a purple robe, wielding an array that summoned a thick purple lightning bolt. Simon raised a hand, and a volcanic eruption sent a crimson river of fire soaring into the sky. After a stunning clash, flames and lightning tangled in the heavens. You must be Archmage Kaustat, the Thunderbolt Supreme Mage's prized student. I have other matters today, I'll visit you another time, Simon said as the shockwave dissipated. He had already fled with the dead soul date tree. Thunderbolt looked grimly at the ground below, sending chains of lightning to capture the surviving witches. Let us go. The witch's family won't forgive you, one witch shouted. You invaded our land, killed our followers, and robbed our treasury. Now you claim to have a case? I won't kill you, I'll cleanse your twisted, dark, greedy, and evil hearts with thunder. Thunderbolt sneered. He captured the witches alive and headed towards the Thunder Punishment Tribunal. 1,000 miles away, Anya and Sierra were flying swiftly through the air. I believe my strike should have broken through Simon's array. I wonder if they managed to escape, Anya said, his face somber. This was the most dangerous moment they had faced since their mission began. Since Simon's ascension to the fifth circle, the gap between geniuses like them and top-tier geniuses had become insurmountable. In the witch's family, only the snow lotus witch could stand against him. Thank you, Anya, Sierra said, still shaken. You're welcome. We didn't have enough time to save more people, Anya replied, feeling a bit frustrated. Don't let it weigh on you. It's not your fault. Besides, I suspect there's a traitor in the witch's family. Otherwise, how could Simon have appeared here so coincidentally? Phantom Witch added. Without reaching the fifth circle, we are nothing but ants in the fifth layer, Anya sighed, vowing to himself to reach the fifth circle within 15 years. One day, he would face Simon head-on without his mother's help to avenge today's humiliation. Phantom Witch looked at her communication device with a glimmer of hope. Good news. Shaman said she and Amy escaped in the chaos. Let's meet up with them. It seems only Natalia didn't make it. Anya frowned and said, wait, this could be a trap set by Simon. Let's not go just yet. Phantom Witch nodded, you're right. I got too excited. We need to stay rational. I'm not as cautious as you. I learned it from someone else. Always think of the worst case scenario first. Better to believe it might be true than to ignore it, Anya said. Was it Levi? Yes. Then let's not go to them and risk exposing ourselves. They continued their escape. Not long after, a figure suddenly broke through the clouds like a bolt of lightning. Thunderbolt Mage stood before them, with 2 fourth circle witches bound by chains of lightning behind him. Shaman and Amy from Anya's squad. The witches looked at Anya with venomous eyes, hating him for only taking Sierra and leaving them behind. Anya's face showed disappointment, his expression complicated. Sierra looked furious, unable to believe their teammates had indeed betrayed them. You two, surrender now, or I'll make you, Thunderbolt said calmly, his powerful fifth circle aura sweeping over them. His strength was extraordinary, even among the archmages of the Kane Empire, equivalent to a senior-level fifth circle wizard. Anya turned to Sierra and said, no matter what, I'm going to struggle a bit. At least I'll die with some dignity. How about you? Sierra laughed, despite herself, is this the first time you've ever tried to be funny? Chapter 1240, Ascension to the Fifth Circle, 5. Anya sighed. It will also be the last. Behind him, a figure of a knight in crimson bronze armor appeared, a means left by his mother. He could no longer rely on it. From now on, he would have to depend on himself. The patrol of crimson bronze right. The Phantom Witch also unleashed her most potent ability, summoning a colossal spectre of a deep-sea siren. Spectre of the Phantom Sea. Thunderbolt's face remained impassive. With a wave of his staff, a sword of lightning tore through the crimson night, and another bolt shattered the Phantom Witch's attack. With a flick of his hand, 2 chains of lightning ensnared Anya and the Phantom Witch. The intense electrical force made their spiritual power quiver, instantly robbing them of any resistance. It was all so effortless, smooth as flowing water. Each of you acts like a heroic martyr, yet you are the invaders. Besides, do you think I would let you die so easily? Thunderbolt sneered, grabbing the 2 of them and flying swiftly toward Thunder Basin. A few days later, in Thunder Punishment Tribunal. Send these people to the Pool of Thunder. Request the Supreme Eye from the Lightning Supreme Mage. In 1 month, publicly execute the captured Dark Mages at the Pool of Thunder to deter heresy and set an example. Thunderbolt had already imprisoned Anya and the others with spell restrictions. Soon, Tribunal Mages led Anya and the others to the Pool of Thunder. Before them was a massive pit, roughly a mile wide, filled with what appeared to be liquid lightning. Countless thunder snakes writhed and swam within it. Surrounding the pool was an array personally set by Thunderbolt, channeling the lightning power of Thunder Basin to this location. In the center of the pool stood a white stone pillar, hundreds of meters tall, wrapped in illusory chains. Above the pillar was a massive purple thunderbird, its wings spanning over 100 meters. It resembled a grand rock, majestic and imposing, its body ethereal. Clearly an elemental spirit. The thunderbird was weak, its power drained by the chains to sustain the pool of thunder. Amid the terrifying thunderclaps, wails of agony could be heard. Dark mages, bound by chains at the base of the pillar, were primarily nomadic wizards. Seeing this, Anya fell silent, a mix of bitterness, unwillingness, and fear washing over him. Beside him, Sierra's face was equally grim. She took Anya's hand. Is there really no way out? Anya shook his head. All right then, it seems we'll be buried in a foreign land. No, not even our bones will remain, Sierra said with a sorrowful smile. Chains extended from the pillar, dragging the four of them into the sea of lightning. Upon entering, Anya felt an onslaught of pain. The electrical currents were perfectly calibrated to torture their bodies and minds without killing them. Periodically, a healing force would mend their injuries. This torment, where death was preferable, was the invention of the Lightning Supreme Mage. Thunder Punishment. A month later, under Thunderbolt's supervision, the Supreme Eye hovered above the pool of thunder, recording everything it saw. Meanwhile, in the major city squares of the Kane Empire, wherever there was a church presence, people could witness the scenes of punishment in the pool of thunder. They're making a nationwide spectacle of executing heretics. These dark mages deserve death for invading our homeland. Citizens and mages of the Kane Empire shouted in excitement. Covert intelligence units from various organizations within the main cities also relayed this information to their respective headquarters. On the west coast, the Deep Blue Organization, the Witch's Family, the Snow Lotus Witch put away her wizard tool and quickly flew toward the Thunder Punishment Tribunal with Nola's mother. An elderly woman with unfathomable strength appeared before them. "Commander," the Snow Lotus Witch said calmly. "During this rescue mission, act within your limits, prioritize the bigger picture, and ensure your own safety. When it's time to retreat, retreat." "Understood." With that, the two Fifth Circle witches hurriedly departed. On the Endless Sea, at the headquarters of the Pharmacist Association, Triss, who had seen Anya escape from Simon's grasp, finally breathed a sigh of relief. Since the subsequent battle with Thunderbolt wasn't projected, she remained unaware that Anya was now imprisoned in the pool of thunder and being publicly executed. At the bottom of the crater, the thunderous liquid churned, and within it, a black-scaled figure sat cross-legged. It had been over 6 months since Levi began his crystallization seclusion. In Levi's mind, monumental changes were occurring. The Divine Ring Tower, originally with 4 layers, spun faster and faster. As it spun, the embryonic form of the 5th layer began to take shape. After an indeterminate amount of time, the 5th layer of the Divine Ring Tower finally solidified. Simultaneously, within the Divine Ring Tower, a mass of dreamlike, iridescent spiritual force liquid had transformed into a pure white crystalline sphere, shining with rainbow hues. This crystal was composed of a staggering 570 points of spiritual force, formed from billions of spiritual force particles. As Levi's crystallization completed, his spiritual force surged, reaching 571, 572, until it skyrocketed to 600. Only then did the increase stop. The crystal had grown correspondingly larger. A torrent of spell power surged through Levi's body, like a mighty river breaking through a dam. Within the crystal, 4 indistinct shadows could be seen. They were a water dragon, a scythe, a thunderbug, and a flame ghost. These were the truth oddities Levi had once consumed. At the same time, in the Million Mountains, the Holy Infant, practicing talisman making, suddenly smiled. Chapter 1241, Ascension to the Fifth Circle, 6. The Holy Infant's aura, previously at the perfection of the 4th circle, broke through in an instant. As a part of Levi, the Holy Infant naturally ascended alongside his main body. 205 years old, entering the 5th circle, gaining at least 1,000 years of life. This calls for a celebration. Today, I, the Holy Infant, will take a day off. The Holy Infant lay on his bed, falling into a deep sleep, utterly exhausted. On the ground lay mountains of divine talisman waste and black beast bones. In the crater, a towering figure shot up, breaking through the high heavens, laughing heartily. "Ha ha ha, the 5th circle, just 1 circle short of the 6th. Calming down, Levi mused to himself, is this what they mean by, swallowing a crystal, and my fate is in my hands, not the heavens? He felt the stark difference in the quality of his spiritual force and spell power compared to his 4th circle days. His perception and thoughts were clearer, and on the 5th circle divine tower, the talent spell models were more intricate and lifelike. With his ascension, everything improved. He casually unleashed a fire dragon tribulation, which exploded 10 miles away. Boom! The fire illuminated the sky like a sunset. 287 Ka, what a wonderful number! Just stepping into the 5th circle, my 3rd circle innate spell already rivals the level of a senior 5th circle wizard. As Levi's spiritual force grew, the power of his innate spells could also increase, albeit not as dramatically as with a breakthrough. Levi tested Water Dragon's Song, Earth Dragon Barrier, Thunder Dragon Flash, Wind Dragon Scamper, Ice Dragon Prison, all his spells had significantly increased in power. Not only that, Levi opened his mouth. A round, chicken egg-sized, iridescent crystal appeared. My spiritual force crystal has completely solidified, and its hardness surpasses even 5th grade metals. Some desperate wizards might use their crystals to attack, but I'll pass. This is a wizard's lifeline. The spiritual force crystal is akin to the elemental core of elemental spirits and the abyssal core of demons, but differs in that when a 5th circle wizard dies, their crystal, lacking a soul anchor, disintegrates instantly. The other two cores, however, remain intact. Generally, the color of a spiritual force crystal correlates with the wizard's meditation art. For example, wizards of the burning faction usually have red crystals, though variations exist. Levi's crystal, due to his ether meditation art encompassing earth, fire, wind, water, metal, thunder, and ice, was iridescent. One of his crystals equaled 7 of another wizard's. In ancient times, spiritual force crystals were often irregular in shape. With the progress of wizard civilization, they now mostly represent perfection as spheres. Inside Levi's spiritual force crystal, hundreds of spell models flickered. These were all the various non-innate spells he had learned, from cantrips to 4th circle spells. Previously in his mind, they were now naturally contained within the crystal upon his ascension to the 5th circle. As for his 6 commonly used innate spells, Levi had solidified them on the Divine Ring Tower. After toying with the crystal, Levi inhaled, and it returned to his mind. Interesting. At the same time, Levi took out his most important 5th circle wizard tool, the Circle of Ouroboros. As he chanted the incantation, the wizard tool shrank, entering his mind and drilling into the Divine Ring Tower. It settled beside the iridescent crystal, surrounding it and slowly rotating. Using the wizard tool will be much more convenient and quick now. With just a thought, I can wield it. This was a small change that came after reaching the 5th circle. Wizards could store their wizard tools in their mindscape, enhancing their synergy with them. Of course, this was limited to 5th circle wizard tools and above. Besides this, Levi felt that his unique iridescent crystal should have other uses. Since it was unprecedented, he needed to research it gradually. Levi held the Klein crystal ball. Mental power, 600/1070. Spell power, 60,000. After advancing to the 5th circle, my mental power has increased significantly, by a full 30 points. This saves me years of arduous cultivation. Only 470 points away from mental power perfection, assuming I don't use any truth oddities. Unfortunately, after mental power solidification, even if I increase my mental power limit with treasures, it won't enhance the success rate of forming the primordial soul. My additional success rate is fixed at 7%, but it's not a big issue. There will be other ways to improve it later. The sooner I advance, the sooner I can enjoy the benefits. There's no point in being stuck at the limit. I, Levi, have no regrets. Moreover, after the 5th circle, 1 point of mental power equated to 100 points of spell power, which was a significant boost. After reaching the 5th circle, having 700 mental power and mastering 2 5th circle talents, one can be considered a senior 5th circle wizard. Those with mental power exceeding 900, nearing 1000, can be considered at the perfection of the 5th circle. After the screenings at the 3rd circle and 4th circle, the number of innate spells will become an important standard for assessing the strength of 5th circle wizards. For Levi, the next step was to proceed with his cultivation and research into 5th circle talents methodically. He would also work on arrays and weapon refinement, keeping them in line with his wizardry realm. There's no rush. Advancing to the 5th circle calls for a proper celebration, a break to consolidate my realm, and perhaps checking out some projections. Chapter 1242, Ascension to the 5th Circle, 7. Levi returned to his secluded retreat and learned through the Twilight Round Table that everything was well in the ancient Saint Plain. He began to review the battle projections within the ancient tower that had occurred during his retreat. After some time, his expression turned cold. Anya actually encountered the Fire Dragon Destroyer. Fortunately, she had Madame Triss's trump card and managed to escape. Very well, Simon, I'll remember you. If my good friend, the three-headed dragon abomination, meets you in the wild, you're done for. Having rested, Levi dismantled the array protecting his retreat and erased all traces of his presence. He stored away Sawkins, activated the Hermit Rune, and flew towards his offshore shelter. Several days later, on the way, his expression changed as he held his breath. He sensed 2 5th circle auras flying several miles away, oblivious to his presence. After advancing to the 5th circle and activating the Hermit rune, only a primordial soul wizard, or someone with special perception techniques at close range, could detect Levi. 2 witches from the witches' family, one of whom is the Snow Lotus Witch. What's going on? Could there be a treasure appearing in Thunder Basin? Pondering this, Levi silently followed them. If the treasure was destined for him, he couldn't let it slip away. In the Million Mountains, the Holy Infant waved his small hand, collecting a pile of level 3 divine talismans. He exited the shelter, looked towards Thunder Basin, and then transformed into a red light, disappearing. Several days later, Levi, tracking the Snow Lotus Witch, returned to Thunder Basin. It seems they're heading to the Thunder Punishment Tribunal. If I remember correctly, there's a senior 5th circle archmage there, Levi murmured, puzzled. His confusion turned to rage when he saw Anya in the distance, being tormented by lightning in the Thunder Pool. It seems Anya escaped Simon only to fall into the hands of Archmage Thunderbolt. Because Thunderbolt's power wasn't enough, there was no projection of their fight. But Anya doesn't appear to be in mortal danger for now. With this thought, Levi quickly flew to the edge of the Thunder Pool, stopping just short of being detected. In the Thunder Pool, Anya looked haggard and severely injured. The Phantom Witch beside her was in no better condition, her clothes in tatters and burn marks everywhere. Leaning against Anya's shoulder, her eyes suddenly sparkled. Anya, I think I saw the Snow Lotus Witch. The organization is here to save us. That's great, the Phantom Witch said weakly. Perhaps we'll be killed by Thunderbolt before they can save us, Anya replied, pouring cold water on her hope. Above the Thunder Pool, Thunderbolt, who was meditating, opened his eyes. He wasn't flustered but smiled. You've arrived. The Snow Lotus Witch said, release those 4 people over there, and we'll leave immediately. Nola's mother looked grim. Her daughter's soul token had shattered long ago, likely killed by this archmage. She clenched her fists, holding back from attacking. Ha ha ha, foreigners, do you think our church is a place you can come and go as you please? Thunderbolt laughed angrily. The Snow Lotus Witch said coldly, then we have no choice but to fight. Thunderbolt confidently replied, come at me all at once. I, Kostat, accept your challenge. Today, under the Supreme Archmage and in front of the Kane Empire citizens, I will shatter your pride with thunder and throw you and those 4 into the Thunder Pool to be baptized by lightning. Delia, watch these prisoners. Thunderbolt spoke to the Thunderbird in the sky. The Thunderbird let out a reluctant cry in response, signaling its understanding. With a confident laugh, Thunderbolt faced his opponents, unafraid of the 2-on-1 battle. Terrifying lightning crackled around him, forming a domain of thunder that spanned several miles. The Snow Lotus Witch and Nola's mother, not daring to underestimate him, unleashed their innate spells towards Thunderbolt. In an instant, a 5th circle level battle erupted. We must win. Sierra hoped fervently. Anya remained calm, seemingly without hope. He thought that Thunderbolt broadcasting this battle nationwide might be a trap, fearing he might not only be unable to escape but also implicate the 5th circle wizards in their organization. At that moment, a figure suddenly appeared in the void around Anya. Lightning surged towards the figure but failed to make contact. The figure, dressed in white robes, was an elderly man with white hair and youthful features, exuding the aura of a 5th circle powerhouse. Holding a staff as tall as a person, he resembled a mage from the Kane Empire. Without even activating a protective force field, he stepped directly into the Thunder Pool. So comfortable. After being in seclusion for so long, I've become somewhat addicted to the electric shocks, Levi murmured to himself. His sleeves billowed, revealing thick arms with bulging veins and menacing muscles. He struck a massive white jade pillar hundreds of meters tall with one palm. In the next moment, the pillar shattered. With hands like knives, he severed the chains one by one. Without even looking, he sent a palm strike to the side. Red flames erupted, blasting away the 5th circle thunder element, Delia, who had launched a sneak attack. He chanted incantations, an array items swirled around him. Streams of light entered the people around him, breaking the restrictions set by Thunderbolt. You are free now. No need to thank me. I am Gandalf, said the old man's voice, kind and gentle, instilling a sense of security. He waved his hand, scattering a heap of potions to replenish stamina, spell power, and spiritual force. Showing great consideration. Thank you, Elder. Thank you, Elder. With the restrictions broken, a group of nomadic wizards rejoiced, drank the potions, and scattered like birds and beasts. The Phantom Witch, slightly recovered, grabbed the inexplicably unconscious Anya and quickly left, not forgetting to say, "Thank you, Elder Gandalf." Meanwhile, the Snow Lotus Witch, fighting Thunderbolt, was delighted. She wondered where this mysterious expert had come from, hiding nearby and intervening at this crucial moment. Seeing that the 4 members of the witch's family had escaped, she focused on buying them more time. Thunderbolt roared, and terrifying lightning exploded. "How dare you!" He conjured a giant hand of thunder, sending it towards the white-robed wizard. "Why wouldn't I dare? I, the Archmage, have long despised the church." Gandalf theatrically threw a bunch of low-level fireball talismans and lime talismans, exploding like fireworks over the thunder pool, filling the air with light and smoke. When the light cleared, Gandalf was already gone. "Arg!" Thunderbolt roared in frustration. He hadn't expected things to turn out this way. Despite his strength and the support of the 5th Circle Thunder element, Gandalf had slipped away. The attacks from the 2 5th Circle Witches intensified, forcing him to focus entirely on defending himself. Before long, with a loud cry from the Snow Lotus Witch, a giant snow-white lotus, nearly 100 meters in diameter, bloomed behind her. 36 petals spun out, encircling Thunderbolt and trapping him. "Innate spell, Lotus Seal. Let's retreat too, before reinforcements arrive," she said. Nola's mother glared at Thunderbolt with hatred but reluctantly left. She wasn't his match and couldn't avenge her daughter. "Everyone, go capture them. What are you waiting for?" Thunderbolt yelled at the stunned mages. Only then did he notice that some mages were already dead, their spiritual force and souls shattered, leaving only empty shells standing there. "Gandalf! The Supreme Eye is watching you, you won't escape!" Thunderbolt roared. Thousands of miles away, high in the sky, the white-robed elder concealed himself in the void. Seeing Anya rescued by the Snow Lotus Witch and escaping, he smiled in satisfaction. "Indeed, I prefer to do good deeds and then leave without a trace, keeping my achievements hidden. Next, I'll find an opportunity to liberate that 5th Circle Thunder element. I can't bear to see it suffer under the church." Muttering to himself, he departed, heading to rendezvous with the Holy Infant. Chapter 1243, Anya Wakes Up. Year 1196 of the Holy Brilliance Calendar, Month of Beginning. Year 31 of the Dark Ancient Tower Calendar. Levi was 206 years old now. On a small island that was isolated from the rest of the world, Holy Infant was already waiting there. Seeing this, Levi smiled and commented, "Not bad. Buy one, get one free. Each person has a 5th circle. 2 people benefit." He counted Sawkins, Pixar, the Mind Flayers, and the Alchemy Eagle. There were already 6 level 5 combatants on his side. Holy Infant Clone then handed Levi a large pile of refined divine talismans, as well as the other rare materials he had obtained during this period of time, including the Blue Moon Flame Ore. Levi asked the Holy Infant Clone to stay here for the time being. Mind Flayers was already at level 5 and had become a high-level demon. Mind Flayers did not need Holy Infant's help for the time being. Levi opened his proficiency panel and found that his talisman creation skill was still far from reaching level 4. "Let's take it slow. Level 3 should be enough. After I refine the divine weapon, I'll capture the 3 earthquake dragons first and refine the truth oddity. Then, I'll return and take away the lightning elemental spirit from the tribunal." After a short exchange with the Thunder Archmage, Levi knew that this person was definitely a 5th Circle senior mage and was not weaker than Sorit. Another reason why Levi was wary of him was his identity. The Archmage was the disciple of Lightning Supreme Mage, a level 6 expert. If the Thunder Archmage was forced into a corner, Levi would die without a burial place since the Thunder Archmage had the protection of the level 6 divine talisman given by Lightning Supreme Mage. Of course, from what he knew, even a Supreme Mage wouldn't have too many level 6 divine talismans. After all, level 6 beastskins and various rare materials were needed, and the success rate was very low. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. One had to think of the worst. "You can continue making talismans. I'll be relying on you for my way of divine talisman in the future. This will be my unique trump card against other wizards." Levi sent Holy Infant away. He took out the Blue Moon Flame Ore and asked Phoenix to do its old job of making fire. "Work hard. I'll find you a wife after a while. Although elemental spirits can't reproduce, it's always good to have a companion." Phoenix laughed coldly in its heart, "You're giving me an empty promise again. You scumbag! You wanted to give me up to someone else back then." Phoenix cursed and scolded Levi, but it still obediently went to light the fire. A bird under the eaves had no choice but to lower its head. Today was the 95th round table meeting of the Twilight Knights. As Levi entered, the members all arrived. It was still the 18 people from before. In Levi's opinion, unless some true knight geniuses appeared later, it would be difficult to change the current lineup of Twilight Knights. "Hello, Commander." "Hello, everyone." Golden Lion Knight said, "It's been 31 years since you left. I wonder when will the Dark Ancient Tower close?" Levi replied, "I'm not too sure. From the looks of it, it's probably only halfway through." Dinos said with a smile, "I see. There are nearly 30 of us level 1 knights now. By the time you come back, there might be more than 100 of us." "Very good," Levi said, "this is just the beginning. In the future, the recruitment standards of the Holy Temple should be raised accordingly. We don't need too many people. We only need a group of true elites. There are nearly 10 level 1 knights in the Midland Knights," the Black Knight said, "moreover, we found a wizard with the second special talent a few days ago. He will be sent to the headquarters for further study." "Not bad. How's the situation in the human world recently?" asked Levi. Blood Knight replied, "The Black Dragon Empire's vanguard has already fought with the Church of Storm. Saint Groudon fought 3 level 6 cave wizards alone and was not at a disadvantage. Also, some time ago, it was suspected that there were primordial soul wizards from the Congress fighting with foreign races in the human world. The human world will be even more turbulent from now on." Levi said with a serious expression, "We have to be even more careful. We'll talk about it when I get back." "Understood." The meeting ended. After chatting with Flower Knight about the situation on the 7th floor, Levi returned to his normal cultivation days. According to the tracking mark he left behind, the 3 earthquake dragons had indeed returned to their nest. 3 earthquake dragons, 1 for me and 1 for the Holy Infant. Phoenix will fight one of them on the Alchemy Eagle. Perfect. There was an advantage to being on the 5th level. Basically, as long as one did not fight with other participants, they would not be projected. Levi estimated that one would have to at least fight with a native with a perfected 5th circle before they were qualified to be projected. However, there were not many such existences. West Coast. Deep Blue Organization. Witch's family residence. Anya opened his eyes and saw Sierra's face. "Team leader, how long have I been asleep?" "Not long, a month. Why did I suddenly faint?" "Perhaps your willpower has reached its limit. After all, you've been tortured for a month. Even with my perfected 4th circle spiritual force, I'm almost numb." "No, it's not. I feel like someone knocked me out with a spiritual force attack." "What happened that day? Please tell me." Sierra told Anya about what happened that day. "White-robed wizard Gonduf, a 5th circle wizard with infinite strength." Anya muttered. Sierra nodded and sighed, "Senior Gonduf is too strong. He shattered the white jade pillar that suppressed us with one palm, then sent the level 5 thunder element flying with one palm. He also took a direct blow from the furious thunder archmage and escaped calmly. He saved dozens of nomadic wizards imprisoned by the tribunal, but no one knows his background. Some people said that he should be an unknown 5th circle nomadic wizard who had concealed his identity and name. When he passed by this place, he saw injustice on the way and pulled out his sword to help. Some people said that he was a native mage of the Kane Empire, but because he didn't agree with the church's ideals, he deliberately targeted the church. In short, without him, we might not have been able to escape." Chapter 1244, Skyfire Fortress. When Anya heard this, he said with yearning, "Sigh, becoming such a powerful person is my goal. I can come and go as I please. When my injuries recover, I want to break through to the 5th circle as soon as possible." Sierra agreed, "That's right. After advancing to the 5th circle, even if we can't defeat a freak like Simon, we can still escape." Anya said, "On the 5th level, the 5th circle is a dividing line. In the vast Io continent, natives with 6th circle and above are as rare as phoenix feathers and Kylan horns. They won't attack easily, but those with 5th circle and below are as common as carp crossing the river." While the two were chatting, the Snow Lotus Witch walked in. "Greetings, Lord Snow Lotus," Anya quickly stood up and said. He had mixed feelings. In the past, he could still call her Madam Snow Lotus. Now that she was already a fifth circle witch, it was more appropriate to call her Lord out of courtesy. Snow Lotus, which got Anya to continue lying down. She said, "No need to be so polite. It's more important for you to recuperate. Do you know Master Gondif from that day?" Anya and Sierra shook their heads. Snow Lotus Witch said, "I understand. I've also reported the situation of the Dead Soul Date Tree to the Commander-in-Chief. It was taken away by Simon. There's nothing we can do about it. You don't have to blame yourself too much. Also, Charmin and Amy will also be punished by the organization. We will not tolerate people who betray their teammates. Anya, you used some precious trump cards. The organization will compensate you." "Thank you, Lord Snow Lotus," Anya thanked her. Both his and Sierra's storage rings had been plundered by the enemy. There was even a fifth circle wizard tool given by his mother, and other than that, there were also many cultivation resources. This was a huge loss, and the organization's compensation could only make up for part of it. Thinking of this gave him a headache. Fortunately, his true trump card was hidden in his body by his mother. Otherwise, he would have suffered a huge loss. On the other side, Snow Lotus Witch arrived at the residence of the witch's family's commander-in-chief. There were already 6 fifth circle wizards waiting there. "Sorry for making everyone wait." The commander-in-chief was an old woman with perfected fifth circle. Her spiritual force was already at its limit, but she did not have the courage to take the last step. The primordial soul stage was the true life and death trial. Stepping through it was a smooth journey. But if they couldn't pass, only a few lucky ones could survive. After all, apart from the success rate, if they wanted to completely attain the primordial soul, they still needed to go through some unimaginable calamities. The commander said, "Simon of the 9 Cities Alliance snatched the Dead Soul Date Tree that should have belonged to us. We will have to take revenge sooner or later." However, now that the 9 Cities Alliance is at its peak, Deep Blue Organization's strategy is to temporarily retreat and wait for an opportunity. It's best if the 9 Cities Alliance and the foreign tribes fight each other. We'll benefit from it. That makes sense. The Amethyst Race sacred land is located in the Million Mountains, which isn't too far from the 9 Cities Alliance's Holy Fire Plateau. Sooner or later, the territories of these two organizations will be connected. At that time, conflict will definitely erupt. At the intersection, the Holy Fire Plateau. In Io continent, this was the place closest to the sun. The intense power of the holy flame illuminated this place. They wanted to make this place a holy land for the wizards of the 9 Cities Alliance. The plateau was vast, second only to the Million Mountains in the intersection. The 9 Cities Alliance had found many truth oddities here, even though most of them were Earth level. In the middle of the plateau, there was a crimson wizard city with a diameter of about 3 kilometers floating high in the sky. It was called Skyfire Fortress. This wizard city was not built on a pile of wizard cities but was one whole entity. This fortress-like wizard city was a unique treasure in itself. Exotic treasures were a type of wizard's treasure that was difficult to rank like a wizard's tool. For example, the Tea Time Round Table, Excalibur, and Truth Magic Mirror that Levi had obtained were treasures. This wizard city was created with the combined power of the 9 cities of the 9 Cities Alliance. Each city sent out a primordial soul weapon craftsman to refine the shell of a level 7 giant turtle. It was said that the giant turtle was called Antu. It was 1,000 meters in diameter and had lived for more than 50,000 years. It had gone from an unremarkable little turtle to a level 7 ruler of a medium-sized plane with great difficulty. In the end, it was still killed. The fact that they had brought the Skyfire Fortress in showed how much importance the 9 Cities Alliance placed on the opening of the Dark Ancient Tower. The Skyfire Fortress itself was a large-scale treasure that gathered the fire elemental power. Those who cultivated here were naturally elites. In order to prevent the Skyfire Fortress from being lost in the Ancient Tower, there was a primordial soul wizard in the city who was in charge of controlling the treasure. However, due to the rules of the Ancient Tower, this primordial soul wizard could not make a move and could only act as a strategic deterrent. In fact, some large-scale guilds also had primordial soul wizards hidden in them. The main purpose was to prevent the members of the organization from being wiped out by level 6 native experts. That would not be worth it. In the city, Simon returned victorious amidst the cheers of the crowd. The fire god phantom behind him directly flew the church's treasury over. The enforcers of the 9 Cities Alliance quickly came to welcome them. With the help of some of Simon's spies, he had defeated an army of the witch's family single-handedly. The news had spread throughout the city. So strong. As expected of the fire dragon destroyer. What kind of rotten fish and prawns are the ocean school of thought? That's right. If we, from the burning school of thought, were to take action, it would be a huge blow. However, those witches are so beautiful. It's a pity that Sir Simon directly destroyed them. Chapter 1245, Going to Arcanist of Blood Relic. As the captain of the law enforcement team that maintained order in the city, the Blood Demon Tower Master looked at Simon, who was respected by tens of thousands of people. He appeared to be happy, but he was disdainful in his heart. A group of children playing house. However, this death soul date is good stuff. It's a pity that it belongs to the organization. The Blood Demon Tower Master's eyes rolled, and his thoughts were active. His professional habits as a dark wizard began to act up, making him unable to resist the urge to do something. No, I've already obtained the cry of the cicada. I can't cause any more trouble. He warned himself. However, the greed in his heart was like a demon, whispering in his ear. Sigh, I still can't change my old habits. 3 months passed quickly. During this time, while Phoenix was burning iron, Levi was busy crafting an array. This array was the earth-sinking serene prison array that he had obtained from Witch Mary. He combined his own ideas and knowledge with the foundation of Witch Mary and made some modifications to the array. This way, the control effect of the array would be even stronger. Since he did not need to refine it again, Levi finished modifying it in 3 months. He opened the proficiency panel. Levi. Array, level 8, 5th circle, 1/100,000. Levi was in a good mood after becoming a 5th circle wizard. He sighed, out of the 3 arts of wizardry, the one that consumes the most of my energy, resources, and wealth is the array. However, I was able to kill a 5th circle wizard when I was still a 4th circle wizard, and it was also because of the help of the array. Next, he would use the earth-sinking serene prison array he had refined to capture the 3 earthquake dragons. Several days later, Phoenix had also finished refining the blue moon flame ore. Levi patted Phoenix's head and smiled. He said, "You're able to achieve what you have today because of my hard work. You have to learn to be grateful and repay me in the future. Do you understand?" Phoenix was speechless. After giving Phoenix half a day off, Levi began to reforge the Crimson Dragon Slash. I've already added several types of level 5 fire element metals and other rare materials into this divine weapon. After it's forged, it should be enough for me to use for a long time. His movements were non-stop, tempering the Crimson Dragon Slash again and again, pouring the blue molten iron into it. A month later, a brand new Crimson Dragon Slash appeared. It was still a red sword, but it emitted a faint blue luster. It's said that this blue moon flame metal contains a strange flame. How about I try its power? Levi held the Crimson Dragon Slash in his hand and came to the surface of the sea. He slashed out with the Heavenly Dragon Sword Codex. At the same time, the Crimson Emperor Dragon flames in the Fire Dragon's true form, the Black Flame Void in the indestructible armor, and the faint blue flame in the Crimson Dragon Slash fused together. The 3 fire dragons fused and spun around the red dragon-shaped sword chi. Boom! The sword chi swept past and brought the 3 fire dragons far away before they exploded. Red, blue, and black merged together, eventually turning into a deep blue mushroom cloud of flames that soared into the sky. The sea water evaporated, and clouds and mist filled the air. 291 Ka. The power is actually stronger than my fire dragon tribulation. It's not appropriate to call this move Twin Dragons Playing with Pearls anymore. I might as well call it 3 Dragons Flaming Kill. Levi discovered that the more flames he fused, the higher the level, and the stronger the explosion. The 3 Earthquake Dragon brothers are still in the relic. Let's go and subdue them first. I don't want to waste any more time. Levi let Sawkins and Pixar guard the place before leaving with Phoenix and the Alchemy Eagle. The Holy Infant clone also put down the work of creating talismans and was swallowed by Levi. A relic that required Arctic Wizards' team of 3 to explore, Levi alone could do it now. Several days later, with the help of the Scarlet Dark Dimension, Levi quickly arrived at the relic of Arcanist of Blood. He opened his mouth and spat out the Holy Infant. After the Holy Infant landed on the ground, a ball of secret fire surrounded it, ready to fight at any time. Levi placed the Alchemy Eagle on the ground and patted Phoenix on Holy Infant's shoulder. Next, it's time to test your driving skills. Phoenix silently entered the giant eagle's body. Soon, the giant eagle began to roar. Its wings, which were wrapped in hurricanes, were covered in flames. Not bad. If every level 5 alchemical creature I refine in the future has a level 5 elemental spirit pilot, its power will probably increase by another level. The most suitable alchemical creature for Phoenix is actually the 3 fire god model. Levi was thinking that if he gathered the 12 divine alchemical creatures and paired them with the 12 elemental spirits, after training, they would finally combine into the ultimate form of God Nick. He wondered if he could fight against a level 6 primordial soul wizard. He was looking forward to this day. After making his preparations, Levi stepped into the valley, followed by Holy Infant and Phoenix. In the valley, the black beasts were still lingering around. Levi did not make a move. Phoenix controlled the giant eagle and used the wind blades to kill all of them. Levi was in charge of picking up the trash. Suddenly, Levi's danger perception reacted. "Disperse!" he shouted. Holy Infant and Phoenix both dodged. A black vortex appeared in the air in front of them. Meteorites and all kinds of black beasts fell from the sky. Rumble! The earth shook, and huge pits formed. Levi raised his protective force field and looked at the falling meteor shower. Even a 5th circle wizard would be crushed to death by rocks if they were not careful. Not long after, the meteor shower stopped, and the black hole slowly closed. This is the reason why the intersection was born. Just as the wizards guessed, the resources in the ancient tower did not come out of thin air. The ancient tower is constantly absorbing resources from the outside world. Be it the land of darkness or other planes, they are all targets of the ancient tower. Therefore, other than when it opens, the ancient tower has always been wandering in the land of darkness. After all, wool cannot be plucked from one place. This is not in line with the path of sustainable development. It should be Sauron's plan. This way, it can not only provide a wave of resources to the wizard world but also allow the ancient tower to recover well. Sauron's good intentions can be seen, sighed Levi. Chapter 1246, Fighting Level 5 Giant Boar. He used perception and knew that most of these black beasts were level 1 and level 2, but there was no lack of powerful black beasts among them. For example, the giant black-furred boar that was lying on the ground with a ferocious expression. This giant boar was as large as a small mountain. It had wings on its back and blood-red eyes. It was obvious that it was not to be trifled with. Level 5 Black Beast, I can use you to test my spell level now that I have advanced to the 5th circle realm. Levi let Holy Infant and Phoenix deal with the minions while he flew toward the giant boar. The huge boars first stood up, clearly sensing that Levi was not to be trifled with. Then, these manies all burst out. Wherever they passed, rocks shattered and trees collapsed. Good. Levi flicked his finger, and a yellow divine dragon surrounded him. The arrows, which were comparable to the attacks of a normal 5th circle wizard, collided with the earthy yellow force field around Levi. Ping, 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 ping. Most of the manies were broken, and only some of the extremely tough ones penetrated Levi's earth dragon barrier and were easily blocked by his armor. Next, it's my turn. If you have any big moves, hurry up and use them. Otherwise, you won't have a chance. Levi flicked his finger, and an aqua blue divine dragon appeared under the giant boar's feet. It soared into the sky and surrounded it. The huge boar was instantly immobilized. However, it had been in the land of darkness for so long, so it naturally had its own advantages. It opened its huge abyssal mouth, and its already huge body expanded even more, like an inflated pufferfish. The hair on its body exploded, tearing apart the water dragon that was binding it. Not bad, this is more interesting. Levi wasn't surprised. Instead, he was delighted. He flashed like a wind dragon scamper and instantly left his original spot, rushing into the sky. A black shadow flashed past, turning the place he was standing on upside down. Rumble! The huge boar was like a cannonball, smashing a deep pit in the ground. It looked at Levi, who was flying into the sky, and its round belly began to deflate. At the same time, a dangerous air cannon shot out. Boom! The air cannon was extremely fast, and Levi used the earth dragon barrier to block it. After the earth dragon barrier shattered, the remaining force poured onto his body. He was blasted into the sky, and then his figure flashed and disappeared. Not bad. I wonder how you will deal with this fire dragon tribulation. It was rare for him to find a decent opponent, so Levi was in a good mood. He pointed his finger out, and the scarlet divine dragon descended from the sky, blasting at the place where the giant boar was. With just one attack, the thick defense of the giant boar was shattered, revealing black flesh and bones, as well as black worms. These worms looked like leeches. They were bloated and ugly. At this moment, they were roasted by the flames and turned into ashes. I was just fighting a group of insects controlling the corpses of giant boars. Levi was puzzled. After the giant boar's body shattered, these worms all surged out and gathered together, turning into a black line that shot into the sky and appeared in front of Levi. Levi immediately dodged. These worms kept surging and finally transformed into a distorted human face. Foolish mortal, you actually dared to kill God's apostle, you! Boom! 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 Before the human face could finish, Levi fired 3 consecutive fire dragon tribulation and threw out a bunch of divine talismans. The sky-high flames completely turned the monster made of worms into ashes, and not a single worm was spared. That guy just now seems to be a powerful existence in the land of darkness. Although he calls himself a god, he's definitely not a real god. However, he should be at least level 6. The land of darkness is indeed filled with danger and terror. Even a powerful level 5 black beast can be controlled by a bunch of worms. I have to be careful when I travel between planes in the future. On the other side, Phoenix and Holy Infant had finished their battle. Originally, Levi had wanted to use the hide of the giant boar as a material for the divine talisman. However, after seeing the face formed by the worms, he decided to be cautious and cremate the corpses of the giant boar. The methods of existences above level 6 were impossible to guard against, and they could not be taken lightly. Just as Levi was about to leave, he discovered a ring that was completely intact among the ashes. This is a storage ring. After some thought, Levi asked Holy Infant to pick up the ring and open it. Seeing that nothing had happened, he asked Holy Infant to pour out the contents of the ring. A pile of ether stones whose elemental power was already somewhat exhausted. There were some wizard relics, casting materials, and medicinal herbs that had lost their spirituality. There were some spell models that focused on the ocean faction, as well as a somewhat broken compass-like item. Moreover, there were also some books. One of them was called Fei Meng's Travel Diary. Levi browsed through it and smiled. It's actually a relic of a primordial soul wizard from tens of thousands of years ago. This primordial soul wizard probably died in the land of darkness, and the corpse left behind was swallowed by the giant boar. The giant boar was controlled by the worm monster who claimed to be a god. By chance, it was sucked into the ancient tower. In the end, the ring went through so many events and fell into my hands. From this, it can be seen how fated this item is with me. Fei Meng was the primordial soul wizard. Fei Meng's greatest hobby was to travel between planes. He had been to hundreds of planes of all sizes in his life, and he recorded everything he saw and heard in his diary. Judging from his diary, his life could be described as rich and colorful. He had seen all kinds of foreign races, civilizations, and even some legendary creatures, such as the Dragon Clan and the powerful bloodline descendants of the Undying Bird. Chapter 1247, Capturing 3 Earthquake Dragons. He had even seen a real black whale. It was a peak level 9 existence, and it was the legendary giant beast on the family crest of the Duke of Montenegro. According to his description, the black whale had a gentle personality, and there was indeed a civilized country on its back called the Montenegro Mountain Empire. The citizens of the empire were like nomads, relying on the giant whale to wander in the multidimensional planes. They called the giant whale Whale Lord and served it while the giant whale provided them with protection, forming a win-win relationship. What was said in the legends were all true. I really want to see these legendary giant beasts with my own eyes. I want to attain a primordial soul as soon as possible and start my journey. Levi suddenly thought of the Duke of Montenegro, who had dreamed of establishing the Montenegro Mountain Empire. He did not know how tall the grass on his grave was now. This book is an extremely valuable treasure. In the future, when I advance to the primordial soul realm and the Holy Infant clone travels the planes, this will be a travel manual and an encyclopedia for other planes. And that strange compass was called the Fei Meng Astrolabe. It was actually Wizard Fei Meng's soul artifact. It was a soul artifact that focused on defense and suppression. Other than that, it could also be used to travel in the land of darkness. Its speed would be much faster than flying with the body, and it could greatly reduce travel time. He only needed to input the coordinates of the plane on the astrolabe to automatically head to the destination. After filling it up with ether stones, the primordial soul level protective array on the astrolabe would automatically protect the master during the journey. This astrolabe was simply a must-have item for a wizard to travel around. It's a pity that this astrolabe is somewhat damaged. I'll see if I can repair it after I become a level 6 weapon craftsman. Levi checked the items and placed all the valuable items into the jars filled with purification elixir, just in case. As for those that weren't of much value, they were all destroyed by him. These things weren't even worth as much as the purification elixir. I came here to subdue the earthquake dragon, but I got a soul artifact. Life is full of surprises. It must be because I saved those nomadic wizards. As expected, a kind person's luck would not be too bad. Thank you, Senior Fei Meng, for your gift. I'll definitely treat your astrolabe well in the future and continue to perfect your travel diary. I'll help you experience the vast scenery of the multidimensional plane. Levi thanked him in the air and flew into the depths of the valley. Sauron Plain. Somewhere far away from Nola. A dark green medium-sized plane was slowly rotating here. After passing through the crystal wall and the wind disaster stratum, they arrived at a dark world. On the ground was endless miasma, poisonous fog, and swamps. Other than that, there was no other landscape. In the swamp, there were primitive humans, humanoid creatures, and other creatures. They were like walking corpses, wandering aimlessly as if they were controlled by someone. At the bottom of the swamp, there was a magnificent stone palace. A giant worm had piled up its bloated body here, extending endlessly. If it were to fully stretch out, it would probably be more than 1,000 meters long. Its malevolent mouthpart was sucking the corpse of a young sub-dragon species black-armored dragon that had just died. Its body swelled up. Soon, the corpse turned into a dried corpse. At the same time, countless leeches crawled in. Not long after, the corpse of the sub-dragon moved and left the place. One of my avatars was actually killed. Foolish human, don't let me, a god, meet you in the land of darkness. It was the god of leeches, Blood Vortex Venerable, Lord of the Black Marsh Plain, and a general under the Worm Lord. If Levi was here, he might have recalled a distant memory. This was because its appearance was exactly the same as the Vortex Beast mentioned in the Vortex Beast breathing technique that he cultivated in the mortal era. In the valley, Levi saw the 3 earthquake dragon brothers again. The 3 brothers had forgotten about the pain and were still sleeping happily in the nest. They did not know that Levi had already used the invisibility runes to check on them. He had already set up the array and was just waiting for the 3 brothers to fall into the trap. The intelligence of the sub-dragon species is generally higher. I'm afraid it won't work if I use the same trick again. Levi hid next to the array and asked Holy Infant to lure the monsters. The earthquake dragons had seen the Holy Infant before, so the aggro of the Holy Infant should be higher. Above the nest, Holy Infant descended from the sky with a red glow, and a fire dragon tribulation flew over. When the 3 earthquake dragon brothers saw Holy Infant, they were furious. Levi was worried that they would not take the bait. Now, it seemed that he was overthinking things. These 3 brothers were fools. They ran all the way and chased after Holy Infant. After that, with a rumbling sound, the ground collapsed. A huge gravitational force came over and pulled the 3 brothers into the huge pit. This is the second time, why don't the 3 of you remember? Levi ridiculed them. The 3 brothers were once again trapped by the same move. They were suppressed within and roared towards the sky. The tail of the giant hammer swept out like an armored dragon, and the shockwave swept out, causing the array to tremble continuously. Phoenix, Holy Infant, go! Phoenix rode on the giant alchemy eagle, and the fire grew stronger with the help of the wind. The blazing breath poured down, and the high temperature spread, entangling an earthquake dragon. Holy Infant controlled one of them with a water dragon's song. Levi used the water dragon's song to control the strongest big brother. He revealed Flame Dragon's true form in black armor, and the nightmare helmet on his head shot out a mental attack. The strength of the earthquake dragon lay in its physical body, and its spiritual force was definitely not as good as that of a 5th circle wizard. Chapter 1248, Convincing the 3 Earthquake Dragons. With just one strike, the head of the oldest earthquake dragon shook as if it was drunk. Domain expansion, Heaven's Net Deception. In an instant, the entire crater was covered by Levi's spiritual domain. The 3 brothers were caught in it, unable to extricate themselves. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Phoenix and Holy Infant attacked crazily. The flames burned and the wind blade cut the earthquake dragons. The 3 brothers quickly bled. This mental attack is really useful. Levi was delighted. In the next moment, his expression changed and he rose from the ground. An invisible earthquake wave came and completely turned his array into dust. The three brothers activated the power of the earthquake at the same time. The combined power was so strong that even a fifth circle senior wizard would have to retreat. Phoenix was blasted into the sky. Alchemy Eagle was already damaged and needed to be repaired. Holy Infant's Earth Dragon barrier field shattered. At the critical moment, it transformed into a fire elemental body, reducing a large amount of damage. The three of you actually broke free from my heaven's net deception. Below, a powerful dragon's might swept out in all directions from the three brothers. Dragon's might was an ability that only sub-dragons could use. Levi stood in the dragon's might, his expression unchanged. This bit of dragon's might was far inferior to his. Levi closed his eyes, and the three-headed dragon god's phantom that he had not seen for a long time began to appear. Next, I'll let you all experience what true dragon's might is. The dragon god's three heads roared at the sky. Its 6 arms opened up and embraced the world. In the sky behind the dragon god, 6 giant dragons of different shapes appeared. The Crimson Emperor Dragon, the Sky Dragon, the Scarlet Dragon, the Nightmare Dragon, the Death Ember Dragon, and the Golden Snake. These dragons were led by the Crimson Emperor Dragon. They stood in the clouds and surrounded the world. They were like the 4 heavenly kings in the heavenly palace, with the arrival of heavenly troops and generals, giving off a sense of oppression. Same old rules. Don't kill them. Beat them until they are willing to submit. Holy Infant, Phoenix, and Levi's main body were responsible for using spells to restrain the three brothers. The three-headed dragon god descended from the sky with supreme dragon's might. It was fighting 3 dragons alone. Its 6-armed fist turned into an illusion and smashed toward the 3 dragons crazily. Boom! 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 How barbaric and violent was this scene! After an unknown period of time, the ground was already soaked in dragon blood. Dragon scales were scattered and it was a mess. The 3 brothers had broken bones all over their bodies and their tails were broken. It was a tragic sight. Submit to me, ordered Levi. What greeted him was the 3 brothers' furious roars and the yellow breath. The 3-headed dragon god slapped the breath away. You guys are quite stubborn. Levi hardened his heart and continued to gang up on them. Of course, he controlled his strength very well. If any of them died, Levi would feel heartache for at least 10 years. What's so good about this valley? Why don't you follow me to the outside world? Asked Levi. The 3 brothers were on the verge of death. Levi had Phoenix and the others stop their attack while he dismissed the 3-headed dragon god. With a pained expression, he pulled out the crimson dragon slash and pointed his sword at the strongest of the 3 brothers. Sigh, don't be stubborn. You don't want to watch your younger brothers die, right? Levi threatened as he used his dragon's might to suppress them. He could tell that the 3 brothers were very close and inseparable. This was extremely rare in the dragon clan. Most dragons would leave the nest after laying eggs and would not care about their offspring. Killing each other among dragon cubs was also a common occurrence in the dragon clan. Usually, only the strongest would be able to survive. Levi had plenty of patience. He let Holy Infant and Phoenix leave first. Then, he began to nag non-stop, just like Tang Santang chanting scriptures. While muttering, he used the blood fog to sew up the wounds of the 3 brothers and apply the medicine. It could be said that he was utilizing a carrot and stick approach on the 3 dragons. A month later, the 3 brothers looked at Levi, who was still mumbling, and they were completely convinced. Where will you take us? A rough voice rang out in Levi's mind. It was the eldest brother in the middle. We shall go to a paradise that only belongs to the dragon clan. There, you 3 will live a carefree life. With my protection, no one will dare to provoke you. However, it is indeed for your own good, Levi smiled and replied. The eldest brother fell silent and began to communicate with the other 2 brothers. We'll go with you. I hope you can keep your promise. Let's go. Come to me. Our dragon clan is a family. I want to build a world of harmony where all dragons live together. And our organization is called Dragon Palace. If you join now, you will all be elders of the Dragon Palace. When I reach the peak of the multidimensional plane and rule the world in the name of the Dragon King, the 3 of you will be respected by all races like gods. Dragon Palace. The eldest of the 3 dragons muttered as he pondered over the meaning. That's right, Levi said solemnly, the dragons are powerful but not united. They fight for themselves. They clearly have the power of gods, but they are bullied by all kinds of weak races. As the future Dragon King, I can't stand it anymore. I want to change this situation. I want to protect us. I want to restore the glory of the dragon clan. It is my duty. When the three brothers heard this, they were shocked. It was as if they could see an organization with unlimited light and a good future. Great Dragon King, we are willing to join the Dragon Palace. May I ask which plane Dragon Palace is in? How should we go there? A month later, Levi brought the three brothers to an isolated island in the sea. He coughed and said, "Our Dragon Palace is a newly established organization. We'll be stationed here for the time being. But don't worry. Before long, the reputation of Dragon Palace will spread throughout the world. The entire world will be the Dragon Land." Chapter 1249, Planning for the Future. Dark Ancient Tower, 5th floor. On an isolated island overseas. Bewitched by Levi's beautiful vision, the three brothers willingly joined the Dragon Palace. Just like the dragon turtle Ratty, the three brothers also had their own dragon clan names. The eldest was called Gangster Riel, the second was called Winston Riel, and the third was Trist Riel. The names of the family were so neat. Among the three brothers, the eldest was the strongest, while the second and third were about the same. In fact, they had just advanced to level 5 not long ago, so their strength was only at the level of a 5th circle ordinary wizard. However, if the three brothers worked together to release the earthquake wave, even a 5th circle senior wizard could not let his guard down. Who would have thought that there would be so many level 5 transcendent creatures on an unremarkable island? Levi looked at the projection leisurely, watching the others fight and kill in the dark ancient tower, fighting for those petty benefits. He felt like he had transcended this world and was no longer part of this world. As expected, farming is the traditional virtue engraved in my genes, said Levi, the master of the Dragon Palace and the director of the island's zoological garden. With so many transcendent creatures, managing them was also a problem. Dragon Palace's idea was not something Levi had thought about for a long time. He wanted to gather all the wandering dragon clans in the multidimensional plane, whether they were hybrids or sub-dragons, not only for the cultivation of his breathing technique but also to enjoy the joy of collecting dragons. He had the unparalleled prestige of the 6 dragons' might. In theory, he could continuously subdue the new dragon clan. As long as he was strong enough, he could also subdue the pure-blooded dragon clan. He might as well set up a separate organization outside of the giant beast paradise, which was the Dragon Palace. For this reason, he had to find and train a group of specialized experts from the Dragon School of Thought to be responsible for the daily operations and training of the Dragon Palace. With the powerful combat strength of the Dragon Clan, they could protect the Dusk Holy Temple. In this way, the Holy Temple, Dragon Palace, Paradise, and Empire could work together. I won't move from now on. Before the ancient tower closes, this will be my small base. After that, I'll think of a way to bring these dragon clans out. As the number of large creatures increased, Levi's biggest problem was finding a portable living space. The living space must be a space that came with the treasure, not a space that relied on the prime material plane like Alice's ring. Only in this way would the Holy Infant clone be able to capture transcendent creatures anytime and anywhere when he traveled the plane in the future. There were too few slots in the Books of Seals, and they were only temporary solutions. In the Book of Seals, transcendent creatures couldn't grow normally. That place was just a small space with nothing. From the looks of it, only the legendary wizard's demi-plane meets my requirements. Forget it, there will always be a way out. Sooner or later, I'll become the #1 master Pokémon in the multidimensional plane. Levi was no longer troubled. Instead, he thought about what he needed to do next besides cultivation. First, find an opportunity to bring Thunder Rock from the Thunder Punishment Tribunal home. Secondly, the 4th treasure that Levi was missing, the most mysterious Holy Grail of Immortality, was on the 5th floor. From the tone of the immortal Banyan Dragon, it was not a secret that the Holy Grail was on the 5th floor. It should not be difficult to find it. He planned to ask around among the natives. Thirdly, he could refine the 12 divine alchemical creatures and upgrade the Book of the Undead and other wizard tools to the 5th circle or repair them. Fourthly, through the flying scythe beast, he could continue to search for undiscovered intersection points and resource points. After planning for the future, Levi continued to cultivate on the island. Holy Infant also returned to his daily work of making talismans. The transcendent creatures also settled down on their respective islands. On this day, Levi took out the great rat sniff from the jar. Begin refining. Levi didn't have much hope for this item. It would be fine as long as he could increase the power of his earth-type spells a little. The rest did not matter. Without expectations, there would be no disappointment. Time flew like an arrow. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. West Coast. The witch's family's residence. Anya and Sierra had already recovered with the help of the potions. The physical and mental torture brought by the electrotherapy had already dissipated. Anya looked at the sea in the distance, his heart calm. Sierra walked over and sat beside him. Anya asked, "Do you feel that after experiencing the torture of the lightning pool, your spiritual power seems to have become more condensed?" Sierra went still before she asked, "You have the same feeling? I thought I was the only one in this situation." Anya had a pensive expression as he said, "Levi once said that if one survives a great disaster, there will be good fortune in the future. Perhaps, using the pain of lightning to temper one's body and mind is actually helpful for cultivation. Do you want to experience it again?" Sierra chuckled. Anya quickly shook his head and said with a bitter smile, "Forget it then. Let's just do it step by step. This kind of ascetic cultivation method, even if it is effective, is too torturous. One must have an extremely tough body, spirit, and willpower that far surpasses ordinary people. Perhaps only then can one persevere year after year, day after day. Only then can there be some effect. Among the people I know, perhaps Levi is the only one who can do all of this. After all, he cultivates both body tempering and spells, and he rose from the bottom step by step. He went through countless hardships to get to a good position." Sierra was deep in thought when he mentioned Levi. She asked, "Anya, did Levi come to the dark ancient tower?" Chapter 1250, Refining Gold for Great Rat. Anya frowned and asked, "Why are you asking this all of a sudden? He probably didn't come. It seems that other than me, who has connections, the external wizards are not qualified to get the key to the ancient tower. Otherwise, with Levi's strength, he would have killed them all if he had come here. If Levi had joined our team and met Simon again, we definitely wouldn't be in such a sorry state. It's our regret that we can't fight alongside Levi in the tower." When Anya started talking about Levi, he couldn't stop and kept talking. Sierra could not help but laugh. "I dare say that other than my mother, no one knows Levi better than I do," said Anya. Sierra was speechless. She asked, "Are you a worm in his stomach?" Anya thought for a moment and said, "It would be great if that was the case. I can get more inspiration from him and grow faster." Sierra did not say anything else. She sat there in a daze, and the figure of Mage Gondif appeared in her mind. Sierra had an indescribable talent since she was young. She could perceive the emotional fluctuations of others. She noticed that Gondif's deep and calm eyes had some emotional fluctuations when he saw Anya. Generally speaking, this was a reaction that would only occur when one saw a familiar person, and it had to be one that the person cared about more than others. Sierra muttered in her heart, "Looks like someone is silently protecting Anya. It should be Madame Triss's arrangement. After all, as a primordial soul wizard, how could she let her son fall into danger?" Who Gondif was not important. Most importantly, it was a blessing to have a mother who truly loved her son. Year 1196 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, the month of the wheatfield. Dragon Palace Island. This was the name that Levi had just come up with, expressing his simple wish to become the Dragon King. In the place where he was in seclusion, Levi opened his eyes and a golden light flashed. There was an itch in his nostrils, as if something was about to come out. Not long after, a golden light appeared and landed on the ground. It was a fat rat the size of a house rat. Its golden fur was glossy and its eyes were cunning. One look and one could tell that it was a little fellow who drank Buddha's lamp oil every day. It did not have a physical body, but was like an illusory projection. Levi was delighted. To think there really is one. One had to know that the gold fur great rat was similar to a hidden effect. Not everyone could trigger it. "Lover's rune, you didn't lie to me," Levi muttered to himself. The moment the gold fur great rat appeared, it ran towards a certain place on the island. Levi's heart skipped a beat as he followed. It can't be, right? Could it really be possible to search for treasures? Levi was secretly delighted. Not long after, Levi followed the gold fur great rat and arrived at a valley in the middle of an island. Here, the 3 earthquake dragon brothers were sleeping. The gold fur great rat ran in front of the 3 brothers. The 3 brothers acted as if they didn't see it and continued to sleep. Then, it burrowed into the belly of the second brother, Winston, and swaggered over with a gold coin in its arms. "I was happy for nothing. This isn't a treasure hunt, this is theft." Levi was speechless. So the so-called treasure hunting function was to steal things from other people's houses. Levi knew how to do it, but he didn't do it. Forget it. It's already good enough that it created a spiritual companion. Why do I still want a free ride? Levi stretched out his hand, and the gold fur great rat placed the gold coin in Levi's palm. It then ran to Levi's shoulder, looking like it was asking for praise. Since you are a gold fur great rat and like to steal gold, I will call you Jinn. The gold fur great rat wasn't a living creature, but a special spiritual creature. It was similar to a truth oddity, but it seemed to understand. It nodded and entered Levi's nostrils. Levi returned the gold to the three brothers and left quietly. He looked at his 7-colored crystal, and the phantom of a golden furred mouse appeared in it. Water dragon, scythe, lightning worm, flame ghost, great rat. That's 5 oddities. I suddenly realized that collecting oddities is quite interesting. It's like eating crispy noodle snacks and collecting hero cards in my previous life. Apart from this spiritual companion, the great rat's sniff also slightly increased the power of Levi's earth element spells. However, after advancing to the 5th circle, the base number of spells increased, and the small increase in the power of the earth grade oddities was better than nothing. For Levi, who had already reached perfection for his 6th talent, the most important function of a large earth grade oddity was no longer to increase his spiritual force or the power of his spells. Instead, it was similar to the special abilities of controlling flying scythe beast, flame ghost avatar, and the gold fur great rat. Without these special abilities, the value of an earth grade oddity would be greatly reduced. For a primordial soul wizard, even a sky grade oddity would not be of much use if it did not have any special functions. What they pursued were rare items above the Morning Star level. So far, there have been very few cases of Morning Star level oddities appearing on the 5th floor. Every time it appeared, it would set off a bloody storm on the Io continent. On the other hand, with the addition of the Earthquake Dragon, the cultivation speed of the Golden Snake breathing technique increased significantly. As for the other 5 breathing techniques, he at least had level 4 secret medicines for them. In the short term, the secret medicine was no longer a problem. Next, it was time for him to cultivate and wait for a breakthrough. When the Holy Infant has reached level 4 in his talisman crafting skill, I'll send him out to look for clues about the Holy Grail of Immortality. Yes, I can bring Jinn with me when the time comes. I'll continue to cultivate here. If there are enemies that Holy Infant can't deal with, I'll attack.